November the 2nd City Council meeting at the 32-minute mark, Tommy Harvey comes up and does a great spill about, the Shed Road closing. And then at today's meeting, John Settle, the man in the hat, does a good spill about, transparent government. And, by the way, speaking of transparency, we are live and we have 8 people watching, so.
Speaking of transparency and being live and all, and Tommy Harvey, I specifically like when Tommy Harvey says, Mr. Mayor. Why did he say it with that inflection, you think?
Good question. Good question. So let's
I think
see.
he was trying to put a little pressure on Mayor Chandler.
Yeah, calling people out in a very nice manner. All right, speaking of that, let's go ahead. We got about 20 people watching. I need to get signed into the chat deal. So, folks, our normal deal, we're going to do a 2.5-minute beginning countdown deal. That gives people time to see the show and get the notifications from Facebook and join in, tag your friends, grab some popcorn, grab a stiff drink. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes or so.
And share.
And there we go. Here we go. Fire in the hole.
I'll hit one while we're talking.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
got a little,
we can multitask a little bit. So, welcome to the show, folks. We've got about 45 people watching. And again, our normal deal is we do a countdown at the beginning and then we start moving into the show. And I got to tell you again, I'm going to say this again. I'm probably going to jinx this, Duke. If we try to go for another marathon show, I have an intermission counter ready. We will be taking a break at some point. I got to
but
get
now
up and
you
stretch my legs if we try another one of these 3-hour marathon sessions.
now you had that ready the last show and we didn't pull the trigger on it and do it. I wonder what everybody watching. Do y'all want an intermission break too?
They're probably going, we don't want a 4-hour show. I got to hand it to the radio guys that do this stuff for, 3 and 4 hour radio shows. I mean, that's a long time.
It is a long time, and they do it not just one day a week like what we're doing. Now,
Right.
granted, we do Louisiana Watch, and you know, but we haven't done them lately.
No, we've got Bossier Watch sharing to Louisiana Watch, but you're right, we've been a little lax because there hadn't been a ton of content really to do a dedicated Louisiana Watch yet, but we're getting there. So anyway, welcome everybody to the show. Y'all know the drill. This is live. Pretty much anything goes. Keep the commentary relatively nice, but we're pretty tolerant. Tag some friends and let them know. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, so we're going to try to get through this without going into midnight kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's the content that drives us. And speaking of content, boy, I mean, if y'all are watching, we've got some good stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about the elections that took place, and the police jury race, the city council race. Going to have a runoff there,
Right.
and the constitutional amendments. We're not going to hang out on those a whole long time. Just kind of gloss over them. The numbers were kind of interesting on some of those, and Mayor of Plain Dealing.
Yeah, and we hadn't talked about plain dealing in quite a while. I'm in one of the plain dealing groups. There's been a few things, but nothing, no real soap opera and drama uh, that's kind of, Bossier Watch worthy lately. But you're right, there is a new mayor of plain dealing.
One of our old school viewers on here says, absolutely.
Yeah, the
David
buzzword.
Johnson. And hello, Miss Murray, Barbara Murray. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Heather Michelle Turner, hello. Shantae Maddox, Russell Touch, hello all.
Yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. And I want to start off with, because I've been a little bit lax with this as of late, but we've usually got it on the screen. You can kind of see it right now at the bottom of the screen, how to send us files. You see our Proton Mail address. We also have a regular Gmail, bossierwatch@gmail.com, that you can reach out to us. Remember, Proton Mail, if you set up an anonymous account, and email to Proton Mail account, email us from Proton Mail to our Proton Mail, Bossier Watch at Proton Mail, then don't put any identifying information, and that stays anonymous. If you really want to be more anonymous, sign up for a free Proton VPN account, and no, they don't pay us. They just have really good services and software that's very secure. You can do that as well. And I want to say one more thing. We did a post on Bossier Watch the other day for a Signal group chat. And let me explain that. So Signal is a very secure end-to-end encrypted application for messaging. So Signal can't read what you chat or comment about inside of Signal. They know that you logged into your account, but they have no idea what you're saying. And so I went ahead and set that up. Now, I will say this, the way Signal works right now, they identify you by your mobile number, okay? And that means that your mobile number will be displayed inside that Signal group. So if you're worried about your cell phone number being displayed inside Signal and other members of that group seeing it, then you either need to set up a burner number or something like that, or just don't join the group. Signal is changing the way that they identify in a future update, and so that won't really be the case.
So, anyway, Rex, what's the point of that? Is that just like a text group where we can continue a discussion about a subject, or if people want to go a little bit more about it, they can kind of talk about it? Or...
Yeah, they may want to say some comments inside of a Signal group that they don't necessarily want to say and be displayed on Facebook, because, our Bossier Watch feed, live feeds and the commentary are public. Now, I will say this, inside a Signal, you also have to remember, even though it's end-to-end encrypted between everybody in that group, somebody can take a screenshot of what you say, or they could take another phone and take a picture of what you say and turn around and post that on Facebook. So I don't want you to think it's completely top super secret. Security is relative. But it is another avenue in case, Zuckerberg kicks us off of Facebook for not liking what we say, or I don't know, something like that. Look for us on either Signal or on Telegram. We'll be in one of those places. Anyway, so with all that said, let's move into our topics tonight. What have we got in the queue?
Well, a little bit more house cleaning, just a tad bit, So we got a lot of folks watching. Hey, we always ask y'all to do us a favor and click share if you're brave enough to come on here with your profile, in which that's an interesting subject in itself, because we understand that there are some people that are not too fond of us putting public information out here the way we're doing, that they are contacting some people that they see watching the show and declaring to them that, hey, why do you watch those guys? You shouldn't even be watching them. I mean, those
Well,
guys, they're bad.
Well, I'm not going to mention any names, but the irony of that is people like to see the train wreck. Look, the truth is, if you and I got on here every Tuesday night and talked about how great our city council was doing, the police jury, and oh my goodness, the Cypress District has all new members and they're acting nice, nobody would watch this show. People want to see the
Well,
train wreck. They don't want to see the flower garden.
and maybe they can see the condensed version of what's happening in their local government here with us, you know, saving them the time and heartache of having to watch all the bull crap that comes along with government. Sorry, but that's what it is.
Well, and look, I'll say this too. So if you go around telling people not to watch our show, guess what the majority of those people are going to do? They're going to watch the show to see why they shouldn't be watching the show, and then they're going to hear information and they're going to get hooked.
That's
Or
right.
they may watch and go, these guys are quacks. I'm never watching this again. But anyway.
Anyway, do us a favor and share the show out and try to help us get the number of folks paying attention. Um, it is interesting because at a lot of local events, there is information that is being communicated via our show that is starting to pop up in a lot of different local forums. And I think that's a good thing that people are being informed, but there's still a lot more folks out there that need to become informed. So, with that
True.
said,
Yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so what's on? I'm sitting here replying to comments and all that.
yeah, so
What do we got first?
last show, quick review. Last show, we had Chief JT Wallace on, and he
Right.
talked about their deal that's coming up, and a little bit. That'll be on the what do we say, December?
Yeah, I think it's December the 11th or 12th ballot. Let me take a look and see. Well, it looks like the Secretary of State site doesn't have it posted yet. It's early December, like December the 11th, 12th, 13th, sometime right in there when the.
We covered that good, and I would say for me the deal was he's not trying to slip this thing in. He's been out front. I mean, nobody likes tax increases or taxes, but when you get out front with the public and you try to tell people way ahead of time, answer any questions, and you're forthright on things, I mean, that's the way you're supposed to do it. You make the case,
Right.
you justify the expense, but too many people in government today, they try to skirt letting you know about what it's for.
True, and what we want to try to do is present the information. Obviously, we put our spin on it. We're citizen journalists that put our take on everything, and we're
I think
not
we're
shy
probably
about
the
our opinion.
I think we're probably the lowest paid journalists or
I
citizen journalists or whatever.
I think we are. Now, with
I,
that said, we
I,
have had several people donate some coffee money to us, and we greatly appreciate that. And we've got some things coming up in the future that uh, may allow us to expand some more. We'll just say that we hadn't nailed anything down yet. So anyway, we appreciate all the help that some folks have done. But yeah, I mean, we're doing this because it's fun, and we like doing it, and it's cool software that we get to mess with.
yeah, absolutely. The fun part, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
want to let me interject the uh, next race is coming up, or the next election or ballot is December the 11th.
gotcha.
Okay, so
So we also went down the anonymous rabbit holes. Remember that?
yes, we did.
I mean, this thing with the Bossier City Police Department, it just never ends. I mean, although we didn't get any anonymous information this week, I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the mail's running slow this week.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember any coming in, and I'll kind of double check as we're going. David Johnson says bringing the rest of the story, kind of the Paul Harvey thing there going.
Yeah, yeah. And we thought we had beat the Shed Road debacle. We had beat that horse to death, but apparently we're going to beat the Bossier City Council and the Shed Road debacle to death even more tonight because maybe a lot of y'all know, maybe you don't know, there was a council meeting today, and boy, oh boy, was there some bombs dropped today.
Yeah, like you said, we were going to kind of back off of that and move on to some other things, do a little bit shorter show tonight. And, well, our city councilman didn't let us get by with that. And Squirrel here, David Johnson says early voting is going on now for the December the 11th ballot, so everybody needs to be aware of that. Yeah, so what happened at the council meeting?
Well, I think before we jump off in there, I mean, we need to cover some of these other little
Yeah, we do. As a
topics because
matter of fact, let me put the list up here that I kind of threw together real quick. So we're going to talk about some robbery defense at the Circle K, a Rotary meeting, a rumor
yeah,
about a gun at Green Acres, I think it's elementary or middle school, private toll road, and rehiring a lobbyist.
yeah, that's a lot of stuff. We probably ought to
Yeah.
fly through a lot of that pretty fast, but um, and everybody's probably saying, "Wait a minute, you got the Jen Psaki of Bossier, and now you're talking about a robbery at the Circle K. You're talking about the Rotary Club. You're talking about Green Acres. What does
Right.
that have to do with Jen Psaki?"
Well, so let's explain that. And some of you may have seen the little promo scheduled post thing that I had, and I had a caricature of Jen Psaki, who is the what is her official title? White House press secretary.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and she's the one that she has to go out there in front of the microphone and tell everybody what the president really means when he says crazy things. And it doesn't matter whether it's Biden or even Trump. Sometimes, whatever. All of them have their press secretaries. But anyway, and of course, Jen Psaki got drilled the other day about some comments that Biden made. But anyway, so what does that have to do with our show today?
Well, invariably, she talks in circle. I mean, I think, that title should be professional word salad enunciator. That's
Hmm.
probably the correct title of that. So you've got this person, that's their job is to go out and talk word salad on behalf of the president or whoever. Well, did you know we have a Jen Psaki in Bossier?
I had no idea. I mean, I've seen the debate over the CAO. I've seen the debate over the city engineer. What else? The city attorney. I didn't know we had a debate over a Jinsaki for Bossier. That's just fun to
Spin,
say, Jinsaki.
spin artist for Brandon. I like
Yeah.
that. I mean, so we got the Trump of Bossier City, we got the Don of Bossier City, we got the Zamboni drivers. I mean, why not have a Jen Psaki of Bossier, right?
Yeah. And again, it's just fun to say. So, folks, if y'all are wondering who the Jinsaki is, tag your friends because we're going to reveal it here shortly.
Now, in the primary election, so as I think it was David Johnson pointed out, the early voting's going on now. Uh, Police jury race. I think you that was a. I mean, that was a win, a strong win, I would argue, for Juliana Parks.
Right.
She
Yes,
didn't
it
come on the
was.
show. We invited. She didn't come on the show.
That is
Was that
true.
a was that why she won or why she didn't? I don't think so. But um, I don't know what to say completely about that race. But as to why the result ended up being one-sided as it was, I would say that I think that Juliana Parks was better prepared for that race. She
Yeah, I would
had
agree.
she had just participated in a race with her husband for city judge,
Right.
and I would say she was more politically savvy than what Mindy was. And
Correct.
if there's a criticism for me to throw towards Mindy's way, I might would say that hiring a consultant from out of town might not was the smartest thing to do in this particular race.
I would agree with that. Now, to her credit, of course, she did come on Bossier Watch, and we hit her with a few questions and some commentary, and I thought she did pretty good with that. Of course, I didn't really figure Juliana was going to come on the show, but no doubt about it, 61% to 39% is a pretty decisive victory. Now, I want to point out something while we've got this pulled up. I'm going to do this for kind of each of these deals. So by party, we had in Bossier Parish had 56.9% voted. Democrats was 19%, and then other was 24. But here's something else that's interesting. I'm going to pull it up by gender, and we had 53.9% of the voters were female, with 46% being male. And that number that's pretty close to actually what it was statewide. And so I thought that was just an interesting little stat and metric there as I was looking at this information earlier.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so if you'll go to that voter portal uh, link, I don't know if it shows it right there. If you wait a minute,
Yeah, I'm here. This is the color, the one with all the
go to
colors
the
on
early voting
it.
on that particular race,
On
and I'm
the
going to show
police
you
jury
what the
District 5? Okay.
yeah
Yeah.
that right there. You see there, Juliana Parks 544 to 290.
Mm-hmm.
So you had almost a 254 vote difference in early voting. I mean,
Right.
you can't hardly win a race when you give up, you know, 254 votes in early voting.
Yeah,
So,
that's difficult to overcome. The percentages tracked fairly close, but it's interesting to note that there were 1,000 votes cast. Early voting was 544. So early voting matters.
yeah, early voting and that right there, and I would attribute that to Juliana Parks had already been involved in a race
Right.
before. She was on top of that issue, and Mindy was, I would argue, maybe a little late getting to the campaign phase, and
Right.
might have missed that window on the early votes. Maybe.
May have, may have. So anyway, but you live and learn. So now I will point out one other thing too. The unofficial turnout was only 19.1%. That's not terrible considering what it usually is, but considering some of the percentages we've had in the more recent past, that's kind of pathetic. But I
Yeah.
gotta admit, I didn't vote until 6 p.m. Saturday evening. I failed to get by an early vote on time, and I had decided to go fish on Caddo Saturday, and I was like, I'll stop by on my way to the lake, and I drove right by there and was thinking about fishing. I was on the lake, and I was like, oh no, what time do the polls close? I got to make it back in time, and so I think the polls didn't close till 8, but I came swinging in there at about 5 till 6, right at dark.
I got you. Well,
Anyway,
moving on to the next race, city council race, and then we got a runoff there, and that is still going to be
yes,
ongoing.
yes. So we
Mike
see
Lombardino, Brian Hammonds, and Darren Ashley.
Yeah, and so of course none of them got over. What's the requirement? 51 have to be over 51%, or is it 50 plus one vote, or 50% plus one vote, or whatever it is? Anyway, so they're going to the runoff, and it'll be Brian Hammonds and Michael Lombardino as the independent going into it. And I want to pull up some of the stats here too. 24% of Democrats voted in this race, 45.4% of Republicans. We look at the race breakdown, 73% white, 17% black, and then 8% other. And again, the gender gap here, 54% of females versus 45% of males. So the ladies were out and voting in force much more than the guys were again.
Good job, ladies. So in that race, Darren Ashley, in which we did a debate on that deal, and Darren Ashley came up short, the
Right,
Democrat, in
right.
which the demographics of that district, it led that way.
He had an uphill battle
Um,
either way. He did a good job, or decent enough in the debate that we had, but the political
the numbers,
affiliations were working against him.
yeah, the numbers didn't work, and I would argue that Mike Lombardino has the same uphill battle.
Right.
Brian Hammonds came within, I think it's correct, 30 votes of pulling that out in the first round. I,
Yeah, it was pretty close, I believe. Also like to point out, Christy Humphrey, I think you're exactly correct. The men were in the woods that day, and so they were not voting. Let me switch back over here.
that is a good point right there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, going forward, I mean, mail ballots are going to be going out really fast in that race. Um, you know, I would argue that potentially whoever was courting the mail ballot voters for the runoff now is probably going to be the candidate that prevails in that race. I don't know which of those two campaigns are working for that, but this thing is moving fast.
Yeah, and I want to mention one other quick thing. We didn't really put this in the notes, but there was some kind of rumor that we got from a couple of different sources about some missing ballots. Do you remember or know anything about that, Duke?
Yeah, we got a message, an anonymous message that implied or said that there were some missing ballots or there was some funny business. I shouldn't say funny business. That implies that there was something nefarious going on. Not that some anonymous source, but you reached out and got some confirmation on that, right?
Yeah, I just reached out directly to Stephanie Adgie, who is the registrar of voters for Bossier Parish, and she said emphatically that there were no missing ballots. Once received from the Postal Service, are checked in immediately, and that's hand delivered also. They're checked in for that day, and they appear on the Secretary of State's website after midnight. If there's a question from any mail ballot voter, they should call the Registrar of Voters office to ensure that their mail ballot wasn't returned undeliverable. And all mail ballots must be received by 4:30 p.m. Friday, November the 12th. Obviously, that was for the November the 13th election, so I would assume that it's the day before on the one coming up as well. And she says if the Registrar of Voters office hasn't received the mail ballot by that time, then the polls are open, the Saturday, and you can vote then. And if there's any questions, call the Registrar of Voters office. And I got to say, from being on the Board of Election Supervisors and all that, and working with those ladies up in that office, they run a tight ship, and they are extremely helpful. They really, really want to help and make sure that your vote is counted.
Now, I will say the fact that this race was forced into a runoff has a significant impact on what's going on in Bossier City because had you had, I mean, and this is kind of really reaching out there, um, between Mike Lombardino or Brian Hammonds, which one of them would have been seated could have affected or could affect how this Man Shack Shed Road closure thing goes. And we're going to get to that here in a minute, but
Yeah, very much so. And arguably, we'll see here in a little bit, it could have changed some things today.
well, I don't think had one of these gentlemen prevailed, I don't think they would have been seated, so they wouldn't have
Uh,
gotten the
true.
ability to vote today.
But
But
let's say that they had been seated. They got elected and boom, they were immediately seated and all that. It certainly could have affected the outcome today, as we saw from a couple of decisions made at the city council meeting. So,
well, invariably, because this is a runoff, the effect of that is that Scott Irwin gets to sit and make the decision for that district or South Bossier
mm,
on this issue again.
I
And
hadn't even thought about that fact. That's a good point to bring up there, Duke.
and the bottom line is whatever King David wants, that's where he's going to go.
Mm. Oh, yeah, for Irwin, but as we've seen, there's like a mutiny afoot with King David. I guess it wouldn't be a mutiny, that would be on a ship, and he's no boat captain. But anyway, so yeah, that's a very important race. We need to make sure that everybody in District 1 gets out to vote. December, what was it? What did I say it was? December the 11th. You want
Yeah,
to
I
make
think so.
sure, yeah, December the 11th, everybody in District 1 get out to vote. It is important, obviously. And, go out there and
So
pull
yeah,
the
so
proverbial lever.
moving ahead a little bit. So did you know on the toll bridge? Did you know that there's a toll bridge going in at South Bossier?
Well, I knew because I paid attention to the news and the media that potential project had been discussed and pitched to the police jury, and I'm sure to the folks on the other side of the river because it's going to go, across the Red River, and there will be it'll be an extension to an existing highway, or however that's going to work out. So yeah, I was aware that this is being kicked around. Yes.
Yeah, I was too. But there's a lot of people that are unaware of this project, and they kind of don't know. I think it's kind of a little bit of a miscommunication. People are confusing Jimmy Davis Highway Bridge and the toll bridge.
All
They're
right.
thinking it's all kind of mixed up.
Yeah, I agree
Um,
with that. So a good source, and we promote out Bossier Now stuff because they usually write pretty good articles on stuff. So one good source is you can go to Bossier Now and just search for New South Bossier Bridge or Bridge Project, and it'll pretty much pull up. And this is from September the 2nd, by the way, which is why I'm mentioning this. And so Hal over there at Bossier Now had covered this when it was pitched to the police jury members at that meeting.
Yeah. So there is, in fact, and it's different than the Jimmy Davis Bridge. And I think that's the primary thing that we wanted to point out was the fact that, there is a legitimate toll bridge that's going to be constructed. The police jury, at their meeting tomorrow, I think will ratify the fact that they're going to partner with, or somehow or another do some kind of work with the group to put in this toll bridge. So I think, and I would agree with Chandler, the Trump of Bossier City, here in a little bit. I would agree that this is probably going to help South Bossier expand and grow and blow up a little bit more. But I don't think Tommy Chandler had nothing to do with this.
No, I don't think so. And just to point out, Heather Michelle Turner had asked, do we know what the toll fees will be used for general fund? This is going to be a private toll. So, and I'm reading from the article, but this was also basically the same thing pitched over on the Caddo side. But this is a privately funded infrastructure project. They're not wanting any land. They don't want any taxpayer money. They're going to purchase or get rights to the land, and the roadway itself will be dedicated for public use, except the bridge, which will be a toll. And so basically, this has nothing to do with the Jimmy Davis Bridge. This is competition for the Jimmy Davis Bridge on down the river just a little bit. I think it's going to be south of Jimmy Davis, maybe north. I think it's going to be south.
Yeah, somewhere south of Jimmy Davis. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to watch because dadgummit, you know how Bossier is. They want to have all these bonds and money going out there.
Yeah, let me highlight this real quick. It says it'll span the Red River and connect 3132, which will be on the Shreveport side, from its current terminus to Highway 71 near Parkway High School. So, yeah, definitely going to be south of Jimmy Davis.
So is that going to be a part of the big 220 loop? We're going to let private industry or private company have part of the 220 loop?
Well, I don't know, but if you go back and search through history, actually, most of the roads used to be private. Remember our Shed Road video that we showed? I think you had Googled it up or whatever on YouTube. Shed Road was a toll road. It was the origins of Shed Road. There used to be a lot of private roads. As a matter of fact, best I remember reading most of them. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll actually maintain the road.
I am impressed. Kaylee Larkin remembers the name of my dog, and she says, "Was that Bo?" Yes, Kaylee, that is Bo. Kara's arrived home, and he is announcing that she's here.
Yeah, I'm stuck out. You won't hear any of my dogs. I'm stuck out of my man cave and office out here. So,
so the toll bridge. The reason that I bring the toll bridge up because. Rex, did you know the Trump of Bossier City chimed in on the toll bridge?
No, I had no idea. Did he have a toupee on when he did it?
Well, I don't know about a toupee, but I mean, I will say that he did stroll down to the serfs in South Bossier and bless them with his presence, and he let them know, I'm the mayor of Bossier City. I'm here.
Well, did he tout all the wonderful things that he had done so far?
Are you talking about Vegas? Oh, no, wait a minute. You're talking about Dallas. You're talking about Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, well, he did get the street sweepers going.
He did. He did. Yeah. Did he? Or did somebody else?
According to the city council. Credit for it. According to the city council meeting, it wasn't Mark Rich. I'm thinking of the wrong name. I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, he did. Yeah, I think that's Clinton kind of stuff. But anyway, so he did. He did give credit where it was due about the street sweepers. But let's see, was it Irwin or Don Williams? One of the two of them in the meeting. Anyway, thanked the mayor for having the street sweepers. Having the initiative to get that project going. So, you know.
Matt Varnell points out Tommy Chandler isn't the mayor, Councilman Montgomery is.
You're
But
right.
well, here's what I want to know from everybody watching: Do y'all think it's the Trump of Bossier City, or do you think Tahoe Tommy? Which coined name do you think is more appropriate for us to use, Tahoe Tommy or the Trump of Bossier City?
I'm not even gonna comment. I don't want to poison the well for the people that are hopefully going to comment for us.
Yeah, don't do it, don't do it. But we just want to hear what everybody thinks.
All right.
So
Julie Ferris says the toll developer is the same as Orange Beach Expressway. Jim Anderson says if you don't like a toll bridge, you don't have to use it. Yeah, I mean, you know, I got to say when I went over to the Bassmasters Classic over in Fort Worth, we were having to drive back and forth between Fort Worth and the lake, which was 30-something miles away. And as much as it pained me to go over the toll bridge and pay those tolls, which they actually send you a deal in the mail, I got to say, except for all the construction, it was a little better experience slightly. I mean, pulling a boat running 90 and getting past like I'm standing still at 90 pulling a boat was an interesting deal. But anyway.
well, here's the question that I have. The question that I have is so once we get that toll bridge built down there or whatever, where will the trucks cross? Will they cross and then will they take the Parkway or will they take Barksdale Boulevard since the Walter O'Bigby carriageway is going to be open to trucks now? I'm just
Yeah, if
wondering.
they're going to pull the roundabout out. But I don't know. If they close Shed Road, do they have to pull the roundabout out? Because
But
it'll.
but you heard in that council meeting, like we're going to put all the trucks on the Walter O'Bigby carriageway, but yet the Parkway is supposedly closed to trucks. I mean, we showed signs. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. Matt, I hope you're being a little sarcastic there about if you pay higher taxes, the roads are better too. But I don't know. That remains to be seen. I wonder. I have no idea what the toll is going to be,
Maybe,
but I think they're
maybe
doing it for truck traffic as well.
maybe it's going to be Toll Bridge Tommy. What do you think? I mean, and you're asking, well, why would you say that? What on
Gosh,
earth would
Duke, that's not very nice.
You just said Tommy had nothing to do with the toll bridge, but it's not me making this up. I mean, did you know? I already told you that Tommy blessed the people of South Bossier, all the serfs down there, with his presence. Did you
Was
know
that at
that?
the South Bossier luncheon?
Yeah. How did you
And
know?
I was going to that one, but unfortunately, I had to go help somebody with some tech stuff. Now I wish I could have made it. So, what happened at this South Bossier meeting? Do we know?
Well, as you know, media today communicates, and
Right.
things pass around lightning speed. So Tommy went down, and I think this was a non-denominational meeting as far as like there wasn't no individual speaker, but because it's the uh, Tahoe Tommy, we're going to give him a little bit of time to speak, right?
Right.
So he got a question, and he got a really interesting question. The Trump of Bossier City, while he was in South Bossier, he got asked a question about Link Coleman.
Link Coleman. Where have we heard that name before? Oh, let's see. The sidewalk to nowhere, costing the city somewhere between $20 to $50 million because the city council decided to go to war with Link Coleman. You know.
What did all the city council really believe that, or was it just that they were led by the nose by one city councilman that had other? I don't know. I mean, I may be reaching there a little bit. I probably shouldn't say that.
All right, but so and I hate to call him the Trump of Bossier because I got to agree. Who made the comment earlier? That's a little insulting to
So
Trump. Trump got stuff done.
yeah, I think somebody said that in the comments. They
Right.
said that's insulting. Don't call him that. So we'll just say Tahoe Tommy for now because we don't
Yeah.
know that it's Toll Bridge Tommy yet. We
Right.
don't know that.
Yeah. All
So
right.
so he was asked, as I understand it, he was asked. He said, Mayor Chandler, what what can we do to uh, get with Link Coleman and try to bridge this divide on all that property down there in Bossier, South Bossier, and try to get it developed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a fair question. It
Fair
wasn't a
question.
fair question. It wasn't, like a side swipe, surprise, or whatever. I mean, like, good grief, you're the mayor. You ought to know about the issue with Link Coleman. It
Sure.
can't be a surprise to you.
Well, yeah, and Tommy's been a resident of Bossier for what, all of his life?
All of his life. Ain't
Okay.
no way he didn't know about all that.
Right.
So,
David
what is?
Johnson says that was me asking it. Okay, so keep
Oh,
going.
how about that? So, okay, well, so David, since it was you that asked it, you may can correct us. I didn't know who it was that asked the question. I just heard from a media person that there was a question asked. So, what I understood was that he responded back, and he was talking about he responds back and says, well, I think that bridge, talking about the toll bridge, I think that bridge is going to be beneficial to the city of Bossier, and it's going to be a benefit to South Bossier, and I think it's a great deal, rah, 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 and
Hmm.
never once mentioned Link Coleman in his initial response.
And
And
to be clear, I don't think Link Coleman has anything to do with the potential new toll bridge privately funded, right?
that we know of, I
That we know
mean,
of.
my goodness, who knows?
So Tommy just shifted immediately or skipped the tracks straight over to the toll bridge.
Yeah, now it begs the question, is Tommy that savvy of a politician to intentionally do that? Or did the only thing that he heard was bridge?
Maybe it was an honest mistake.
Maybe it was. So, again, I didn't know before the show that it was David Johnson that asked that question. But interesting, from what I understand, David Johnson redirected.
Yeah,
And
and he's commenting. He says, I asked him again specifically about land around BGA, which would be the Brookshire's Grocery Arena or whatever it is. Anyway.
now my understanding is that his David Johnson, your retort, it's interesting. I'm sitting here, I got notes already, so you have to forgive me if I'm wrong or correct me, one of the two. I understood that he says, well, that's great. That wasn't the question. That was what David Johnson said. And that, he followed up and says, um, I was asking you specifically about the land of Coleman's and about getting that developed. And Tommy came back or retorted and said, uh, you know, if you could get a meeting with Coleman and get him in a room or whatever, and willing to negotiate, then so be it. Now,
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
strikes you odd about that?
Well, A, that would be the mayor's job, number one. But B, did Coleman support anybody in the mayor's race? Did he support Lowe, or did he support Tommy, or do we know?
Well, I did look at some campaign finance reports, and I did see some donations from Coleman uh, linked people
Mm-hmm.
to Tommy Chandler. It
Okay.
wasn't just I mean a huge amount of money or whatever. I mean,
Yeah. So
there was this
according to
rumor.
campaign finance, the Coleman didn't underwrite Tommy's campaign.
No,
Okay.
not from what
Okay.
I can tell. There was this rumor out there that Coleman had supposedly funded Tommy's campaign to the tune of $100,000. You know, that's bullcrap that I can tell. I mean, I went back and looked at the reports. I mean, and no, what wasn't there at all. I mean, there might have been. I mean, we can pull it up. I mean, I may be wrong. I
Yeah.
mean, a couple of
Approximately.
$2,500
Yeah.
donations,
That's
something like
normal.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the point being is that Tommy says, if you can get him in a room, and uh, he'd be. I mean, he's the mayor. Why? Why would Tommy Chandler not meet? Now, I've heard some whispers, Rex,
Oh, surely
and
not.
I've heard some whispers. Now, I find that really interesting that Tommy would say at a public meeting to the public that if, to somebody that asks him a question, if you can get Link Coleman in a meeting, you know, do it and I'll meet with him,
Hmm.
or suggesting that he had tried. Maybe David Johnson can clarify exactly what he said because I don't know the exact words that he said and we weren't there to record it.
Right.
So we're just going off of what we said. But what I can tell you is, and maybe we can follow up with Link Coleman on this, but we understand that Link Coleman reached out to Tommy Chandler to try to meet with him a weeks or a month before this day and before this statement was out there, and Tommy Chandler refused to meet with him.
Huh. Well, that changes the game a little bit if it's true.
If it's true, it makes one wonder, why would Tommy go to a South Bossier meeting and say if you can get him in a room, you know, and then but yet he's already had an opportunity to meet with the man, but yet he refuses to meet with the man.
That's a good tongue twister, and you did well with it, by the way. Um, well, there's a lot of things that politicians say that they don't necessarily mean. That's putting it nicely. Sometimes they flat out lie. Sometimes they just say things because, it's an opportune
Now,
time to say it a certain way.
now David Johnson says, I took it as if you think you can do something, do it sarcastically. So
Hmm.
he was basically challenging you, David, that he's exhausted himself to uh, trying to get it done, and yet he couldn't do anything. And so he was
Hmm.
challenging you, David Johnson, to get it done.
Very interesting. Your wife, Kara, says, well, of course you know her name. Maybe Bossier Watch can set up a joint interview. That would be fun. We should do that live.
You know, that is an amazing deal. We could call Link Coleman and ask Link Coleman if he would be willing to come on the show live and talk about the issue,
Sure.
and also Mayor Chandler and to talk about the issue and
Yeah,
developing that property. What would it take to get it done?
we can do that. I mean, the worst they can do is say no.
You know what's going to happen. Zamboni's going to shut it down. They're going to run it right clean over.
I'm quite sure that will go straight from Zamboni to steamrolling freight train. But hey, it's worth a shot. So yeah, maybe we ought to try to facilitate that. Good idea, Kara.
Well, I had somebody message me and say Tommy talks too much at lunch.
Yeah, because he also said, let me give me a second here and let me get this pulled up as well here. But he,
I understand that Tommy is heard by certain judges at lunch sometimes too loudly as well.
yeah, well,
Hint, hint.
yeah, maybe so. And he also said, let me see if I can make this pop up here. Here we go. Now, this is according to Bossier Now that the mayor is searching for a city engineer. Did you know that they're trying to replace Tommy is apparently still trying to replace Manchac because isn't Ben from Manchac the current city engineer?
Whoa, where is that new?
Well, I don't know if it's new, but no. Let me see what the date of this is. I think Bossier Now posted this the day of that South Bossier meeting, or maybe the day after, or whatever it was. Let me roll up here and see how you got to make your date easier to find there, buddy. November 12th. So yeah, this is 4 days ago that Howell reported this, and I think he was at that South Bossier luncheon.
Now, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I'm getting a message currently saying that they the Link Coleman side of this equation may be able to do this deal.
Yeah, well, if they want to do it, we can set it up and either do it live or a pre-recorded deal, however they want to do it. Whatever's easier based on based on their schedules. We can do a call in, or like we do other guests, or whatever's easier. We'll be glad to facilitate that.
You know, I don't know. I would think it would be for us and the citizens of Bossier and everybody. I think it would be interesting to see if both sides would be willing to lift the federal gag orders with the city of Bossier and would the be in agreement to do that,
Hmm,
and the Link Coleman side.
That would be interesting too. That way, the citizens of Bossier could pull back or have the curtain pulled back some and learn a little more about what actually went on.
But you know what? The truth of the matter is, though, if we stipulated or pushed that, we might would kill the deal in getting development to all of that property. So I would say that probably we would probably have to leave that alone. If those gentlemen wanted to bring it up and address it, you know, I say let's lay it out there for the public to see, all
Yeah,
of it.
I agree 100%. But then again, you know, those pesky lawyers, it's going to depend on what they say and the judge, the federal judge in that deal. I also wanted to point out that apparently at that same meeting, uh, Mayor Tommy Chandler says he will oppose the measure about the YMCA, so using 30 some odd $1 million out of the $75 million bond slash loan slash debt. He will oppose the measure if the council attempts to fund the fitness center from the new debt. If the ordinance says, quote, we're going to build a $30 million YMCA and give it to somebody, no, I'm not for that, Chandler told Bossier Now in an exclusive interview. He said he would veto such a proposal, quote, if he had to. What does
Now,
that mean?
Rex, I read that, and I got to tell you, that's more wag the dog than I can take. I mean, look, we joke a lot about Tommy, and I like Tommy. If Tommy called me today and said, dude, I got a problem and I need help, I would go and I would help him.
Sure. He's a
I
nice
mean,
guy.
he's a nice guy. I've been friends with him a long time. I will continue to be friends. If he doesn't want to be friends, that's fine. That's his business. But I'm joking about a lot of stuff. But I got to tell you, that is wag the dog. And Tommy, I mean, you already knew the vote count. You jumped out there. Where were you before you knew the vote count? Why did you not come out that strongly against that YMCA project? Why did you not come out that strongly when it was a question?
Sure. I agree 100%. If Tommy Chandler called me for, just out of the blue right now and had a flat tire and needed help changing the tire, I'd go help him change the tire. And while I was changing the tire, we would absolutely be, I said our buzzword, we would definitely be discussing these situations as I was helping the man change a flat tire. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah. So I think this was wag the dog. This was, you know, telling people what they wanted to hear after he already knew how this was going to go. I'll tell you this. I already knew the vote count on how this was going to go a while back. I already knew it. There
Quite
ain't no way he didn't know it. He knew there's no way it would fly. So what does
right.
he do? He goes out there and sells it that he's got this strong backbone in fighting this deal in wasteful spending. I mean, bull crap.
Yeah, you can just go watch any of the city council meetings and see how little Tommy actually speaks or addresses the council after being thoroughly thrashed by King David earlier in the year. And that tells you right there. So, Tommy, my advice for what little bit it's worth, you need to address the council and stand up for the constituents that put you in office, whether they can override your veto or not. That's not the point.
Now, I'm
The
going to
point
tell you,
is, where do you stand?
yeah, and talking about all this bond money and all this
All right.
stuff. Now, the 75 million. We thought, or we uh, calculated that 30 million of this, and I would agree with Tommy on this. He talked about, when the proposals came back about this thing of it being 30 million, that it was actually probably would be more than that. It'd be maybe 60 million with
Right.
today's numbers or what have you. And he's probably right. May
Yeah.
even be 75 million.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Getting onto those bonds, when you take those bonds out, can anybody today watching this show, can any of y'all tell me what that $75 million bond that they put out there, what it's for? Still to this day, I don't know that anybody knows. Maybe your council and your mayor knows, and they're not telling, but can anybody tell you what it is?
That is a very good question, and I hadn't dug in enough, so I can't even answer the question. And you and I are trying to pay attention to all this. Our good friend and former councilman David Jones says the money is approved to borrow has to be spent. If it is, for what?
Well, and if it's not spent, now Tommy, that brings a good point. And Tommy pointed out that just because we have it, we don't have to spend it.
Right.
Well, I may be wrong on this, but I called somebody down in Baton Rouge and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of asked them about this. And they didn't 100% know, but they said that if you got this bond money, you let those bonds out there and you didn't spend it, that after a certain point, you end up having to pay taxes on it.
Hmm. So the city would
So,
have to pay taxes on the money that they borrowed.
yeah, so just because they let this out here doesn't mean that it's not going to end up costing the
Hmm.
taxpayers of the city. There's a potential that it could cost the taxpayer unless they've already spent the money or they already know what they're going to spend it on.
Hmm. Yeah, and David Jones is confirming that too. He says in a comment says money becomes taxable, and I'm sure he would probably know that from being on the city council and other places in government as well. Okay, so this toll road's getting longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, yep, 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 yep.
I mean, we could
So
go on about this kind of stuff literally all
yeah, I say we skip on down to the Psaki of Bossier. So the
night. Okay.
the the 60 something people watching or what have you, in which again we appreciate all of y'all watching, and you know again we wish you would invite some more people to watch. I mean, because we're trying to be informative, and you're going to hear things from our show that you're not going to see on Channel 3, 6, or 12. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to hear it on Robin and Aaron. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
love Robert and Aaron to death, but you're not going to get it.
Right.
Um, Share and help us inform people.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have any cool sound bites or anything like that to share, so we're pretty much going to talk through this. But so apparently, it was kind of interesting at the Rotary Club meeting in Bossier.
Yeah, now the Rotary Club, Rex, how familiar with the Rotary Club of Bossier are you?
I gotta say, my only familiarity with it was I was in Key Club when I went to Ruston High, and I know that was some sort of affiliation with the Rotary Club, but it was pretty much a party club, so I didn't stay in the Key Club that long. So
I got you. I got
there,
you.
I've never been a
Well,
member of the Rotary Club.
well, the Rotary Club International, Rotary Club is a fine organization. I think they stand on some really good principles, just
Right?
like the Lions Club.
Sure.
Um, the Rotary Club has like the Paul Harris fellowship thing. I mean,
Yeah, they
they
do a lot
they
of good for the community.
they do. They've got some good principles, and
Right.
there's a lot of those principles stand on. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? And they got this thing called the three-way test, and I just butchered the because I didn't know the third, but I was
Mm-hmm.
never a Rotarian. But it basically, I think it's an ethical thing,
Right.
and is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Those jump out at me,
Mm-hmm.
and so this past week in Bossier City, you've got the Bossier City Rotary Club,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some key figures that are involved in all of this stuff going on uh, in Bossier City are there. In fact, some of the key figures, King David, is one of the primary principals of the Bossier City Rotary Club. And I
Okay.
would argue that he has made sure that some people are become Rotarians and made sure that other people are not Rotarians anymore and made it
Hmm.
unsavory to be a Rotarian, which
Hmm.
I would say is not in the will it build goodwill for all concerned? There
Okay.
you go. There was the third one of the
Mm-hmm.
three-way test. So the Rotary Club of Bossier had a speaker this week. Did you know who that was?
I have well, I kind of do because, we got show notes. But no, I didn't know that this person was going to be speaking at the Rotary Club meeting last week. No, I had no idea.
Play along and fake it well.
Okay, I'll try. Well, no, Duke, I have no idea. Who was it?
A representative from the mayor's office was there to speak on behalf of the mayor's office, as I understand it, Amanda Nottingham.
Oh, she is the White House press secretary? I'm sorry. She is the Bossier City Mayor's Office press secretary? No, wait. I thought she was CAO. I'm confused.
She's CAO.
Oh,
so
okay. So she was there to speak on behalf of the mayor's administration, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
as I understand it, still know people that are in Rotary there.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke on how great everything was in Bossier.
Fair enough. The
city's
city's growing. Our murder rate per capita is a third per capita of what it is just across the river. That's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of their job, the mayor
Right.
and the CAO, to promote Bossier City, talk good about it and all that good stuff. But,
Sure.
kind of ran into a little problem at that meeting, I think.
Well,
And
don't tell me. Did somebody actually ask a direct, pointed question?
my goodness, you must be reading the notes or reading my mind, one of the two. I don't
Well,
know
that's
which.
the only reason we could be making fun of Jen Psaki.
Yeah.
Because
So,
she has a tough time answering direct, pointed questions. She has to do the little press secretary dance. So, yeah. So, anyway, what happened?
It just occurred to me that a lot of people may not know who Jen Psaki is. I'm wondering, everybody watching, how many of you know who Jen Psaki is?
Yeah. Anybody?
Do you know?
Bueller, anybody?
Yeah. So Jen Psaki and her famous thing is circle back around. We're going to circle back around to that. We're going to come back around to that.
Okay. Well, hold on a second. I got to put this comment up just a second. Let me kind of get rid of this out of the way for just a second. Wow, this is so Holly Cole commented. She says, somebody needs to speak for him. Literally, it is painful to hear him speak in the city council meetings. You will never convince me he wrote the statement issued about the veto. Ouch. Ouch.
Wow. But he's getting counsel on what to say, how to look. He's got coaches, right?
And I want to say this too, because I'm certainly not the perfect speaker all the time either. That's not really what I have against Tommy, because he could get out there and speak like the rest of us rednecks, or whatever too, and that would be fine if he were getting some other things done. So anyway, all right, back to this Rotary Club meeting and the Bossier Parish Mayor's Office press secretary.
Yeah, Ryan Haygood says Amanda is a wonderful person with an impossible job. You know what, Ryan?
Agree
Couldn't
100%.
agree with you.
This
Agree with you
is
100%.
not really a swipe at Amanda as a person. However, she is in that position, and so this is really against a position, not really Amanda personally. She's great.
That's right. So, Rex, the problem here, and again, was she got asked a question.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if she was unprepared for the question or if, I don't know. I think she was.
Maybe there's just no good answer.
Maybe there's no good answer. But she was asked, what are we doing about a city engineer?
I'm glad I wasn't drinking my tea right then. I might have spit it back in the glass.
Somebody at the Rotary Club, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it bring goodwill towards, wait a minute, I missed it. Where's that? Will it build goodwill for all concerned? Now remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Right.
Will it build goodwill? Okay. So she was asked, what are we doing about a city engineer?
Mm-hmm.
There was more to the question. It says, we all know it's being reported that Manshack dropped the ball and is the cause of the city being forced to shut down the Shed Road crossing. Are you willing to go on record and say they cost us the closing of Shed Road?
Direct question.
How do you get more direct than that? So, do I need to read the question again? What do our viewers think she said?
Well, yeah, just to summarize, they asked her a direct question. Basically, is she going to go on record and put the blame where it belongs, which is on Manchac. And I got to say, at today's city council meeting, they danced around that crap again today. So, what
Now,
was her response? Did she
now
do a
this
good job
council.
of tiptoeing?
Now y'all got to understand. This happened last week, last Thursday. I think it was last Thursday. I think that's when the Rotary Club meets. Anyway, this was last Thursday. So then you had the council meeting today, and there was
Mm-hmm.
some interesting dialogue that took place that relates to these comments. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
she responded, and she neither confirmed nor denied, but saying that, this is what I'm told,
Mm-hmm.
but that she and the mayor thought that Manchac was a fine company, and the mayor's office looked forward to working with them in the future.
That's what she said. Well,
That's what I'm told she said. I don't
She
know
did
for a
stand
fact. I
up.
wasn't there.
She did stand up there right beside Ben Rauschenbach. I know I'm probably butchering his name up. Sorry about that, Ben. At the November the 2nd meeting, when they were talking about their meeting with Union Pacific, we'll talk some more about that. So
Been lots of meetings with Union Pacific lately, apparently.
that's a railroad stuff going on. All right, well, so let's contrast that to Bossier Now's article where it says the mayor is searching for a city engineer. And this is a quote from Tommy, apparently, to Bossier Now, or to whoever he was addressing, says, at this time, we're searching for a city engineer. Now, if they're searching for a city engineer, wouldn't they have to peel Manchac or part of Manchac away from the city?
Well, it would seem like they would have to. In fact, it was a campaign promise of Tommy Chandler, I think, was trying to get another city engineer, but now it seems to be there's this love fest with Manchac. And then you've got this thing that you're pointing out, the mayor is searching for a city engineer. I got to tell you, I don't know whether we're coming or going here.
I am
I can't,
confused.
I
Either
cannot
me or
figure it
Tommy,
out.
one of the two. In reality, I know what's going on, but so he said, and he even says right here, he says, I have one guy located, and I would like to interview him some more about it. Well, why don't you just do that, Tommy? You got the guy located. All you got to do is call and say, hi, this is Tommy Chandler. I'm the mayor of Bossier City. I would like to talk to you about being the city engineer. Could we set up a meeting and an interview?
So Rex, moving along to the city council meeting, because I
Okay.
think this is probably the bread and butter here, and this ties into the Gin Psaki of Bossier City, which,
Yes.
if you ain't figured it out by now, we're saying Amanda Nottingham is the Gin Psaki of Bossier City. So
Yes.
if you've got the Trump of Bossier City, you got to have a Gin Psaki of Bossier City, right?
Well, if she's the Jen Psaki of Bossier City, then that would actually make Tommy Biden. Now,
Ooh.
I'm not completely happy with Tommy so far as mayor, but I'm not so far. I'm not sure I want to stoop so far as to associate him with Joe Biden quite yet. Maybe
I don't, I
that's
don't
that's
know,
getting
but
pretty low, and we do have at least one person who identifies as a Democrat watching. She had a comment up here, and looks like I've lost it. Erin
well,
Wright
that's
is
okay.
watching. She says she's a Democrat, and she's watching the show right now. So, Erin, we're glad to have you. All right. So anyway, so we're labeling Amanda as the Jen Psaki of Bossier City, and again, it's not personal against Amanda. Amanda's a great gal, but it's because maybe she's kind of given an impossible task of having to do a little dazzling with brilliance or baffling with BS.
At some point, you know, principle and integrity, and I mean, you got to say publicly, and you got to say what you really think, and
Mm.
kind of makes you wonder. But city council meeting today. I mean,
Yeah,
in fact,
let's go to that.
she came to the city council meeting today. Now, she's not the highlight of today's city council meeting, but the city council meeting today was going to be non-eventful, and a lot of you may not realize this or not, but like
Oh,
normally you get an agenda out like last week, but there wasn't an agenda put out until I think maybe yesterday.
Yeah, and that's within the law. They got to put it out 24 hours.
So
But usually the city council, I'll give them credit. Usually the city council is good about putting their agenda out, a few days in advance. Unlike some other government entities around here, like the Cypress District. So usually the city council is pretty good about that. But apparently maybe they had some changes or revisions. I don't know.
yeah, so at the previous meeting, they continued the issue of the Shed Road closure.
Right.
Remember,
Oh
Darby
yeah.
made a motion on 30-day continuance.
Right.
We covered all of that.
Right.
So today, the only way the issue could come back up was, and right out of the gate, we've got, I mean, and if you're following along on this, you've got some contentious stuff right out of the gate with the agenda regarding all of this. And Darby uh, makes an agenda addition request. The only way, once somebody continues, according to parliamentary procedure and Robert's rules, the person who makes the motion to continue, and if the motion passes, them or the person who seconds are the only people who can bring an issue back up before the continuance. You follow that?
Is completed. So once it's
Is completed.
continued, yeah. So once it's completed, if they're going to take any other action that would be counter to that continuance, it has to be either the person who originally brought the motion to continue or the person who seconded the motion, and that's procedural. It's not a law.
That's right.
It's just an understood and agreed upon procedure. Correct?
Now, yeah, and I
Okay.
think you can kind of find that in the Muni Code if you felt inclined to go digging into it, but you'll get a headache and maybe
Yeah.
want to cut your wrists after doing that. But so Darby makes an agenda addition request. Now, the interesting thing here, and that was at the 8-minute mark,
Yeah.
um, right out of the gate, and we don't have to go there.
Well,
But the interesting thing
it
is,
would have been somewhere right in about here. Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Duke. Sorry.
yeah, so Darby makes the agenda addition request, and at the 8:27 mark or around there, Scott Irwin makes the motion. Now, maybe we're
Hmm.
splitting hairs, maybe we're not, but Scott Irwin makes the motion, and you know, he's not the guy that made the continuance. Now, this may
Well,
be technical in nature,
I'd
but he
like to
wasn't.
bring up that King David wasn't there to scream about looking up, the code, looking up well, the charter or whatever, blah 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 blah. So maybe they're letting stuff squeak by today. Let's go back and let's listen to that for a second. Hold on.
Yes, okay. All right, that's fine.
And we're losing several $100,000 a year doing that, so
Okay.
it's hard to lose.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they were talking about the credit card
Any other
fees.
questions?
We might talk about that on another show.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, real quick, one, who is our merchant services provider? Do we know?
Oh, you done jumped ahead there.
I'm at the
That was
8-minute
not-
mark.
Is
Hold
it?
on.
Well, we got our timestamps wrong then.
Yeah, am I on the? No, that's the right meeting. That's today. Okay. Interesting. All right. Anyway, so
So at the 8:55 mark, the reason that is important is because John Settle jumps up there, and John Settle points out that there has been a possible open meetings violation.
Right.
That. But more importantly, he points out that it's just bad government. You got to keep going backwards from that lady.
Yeah, somehow the times got jacked up. So keep talking for a second. I'm gonna actually bring this up in YouTube, so that we
Yeah.
can get our times right.
John Settle is claiming that there's an open meeting law violation, but more importantly, it's just bad government to vote on this issue, an issue of this significance, with no notice to the public. You're amending the agenda to put this issue to be voted on today, and what we haven't gotten to yet is that Union Pacific has sent a letter. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the interesting thing was Phyllis during the meeting says they received the letter earlier this morning.
Okay.
So, well, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was
I'm about.
acknowledges they received the letter earlier this morning, but what I will go in and jump out ahead of you and say is that I'm not sure that everybody knew that this letter had been received and what the not even the councilman knew the contents of this letter from Union Pacific.
Oh, there were definitely some issues with that, and I'm just here about 30 seconds or so from having us actually ready to view the meeting, and hopefully our
So
timestamps should be correct. All right, here we go. Okay, so let me jump up. What timestamp do we want to be at right now, Duke?
go to
8:55.
the 8:55 mark.
All right, let's go up here to 8:55. That's pretty close right there. All right, here we go.
Percentage, and so if MasterCard's a different fee, Discover, I didn't know if maybe we can make that, those fees public so people, when this is implemented, are aware of what's going to be charged on top of their water fee, and make sure that we educate.
Well, that's crazy. There's a difference in the live version, the one that we watch, versus when YouTube finishes processing it. That's crazy. That's why it messed me up on the other deal. Hold on, folks. Technical deal. Let me see when she starts, and I'll know what my times are to adjust them. Give me just a second. All right. She's at the 12-minute mark there. All right, so go ahead, dude. Keep explaining.
I got to tell you, she hit the ball out of the park as well too. And in that little dialogue there, that is the wife of a former employee of the city of Bossier who tendered their resignation with the city of Bossier. And at a previous meeting, she showed up at this meeting to defend her husband and some other employees of the city of Bossier who were, in her words, disparaged by the well, we know who, but they were disparaged at a previous council meeting, and we're going to cover that, and we're going to go over that once we can get these times right. But
Yeah.
Settle was right in pointing out, the violation of open meeting laws. Now, whether it was actually a violation of the open meeting laws or not, I don't know that it completely was an open meeting laws violation. And the point of from a technical standpoint, the point of the person who originally made the motion to continue the hearing of the Shed Road issue previously, and who made the second, bringing the motion, an argument could be made that it technically should have been Darby or Chris Smith who brought the motion, not Scott Irwin and whoever seconded it, which I think was Bubba Williams.
Okay, so I've kind of got our time deal figured out a little bit here, so folks just bear with us for just a minute or so. Let me get this set up here.
It's set up to allow people to
All right,
have
so-
notice at least 24 hours before any terms of action. So,
All right, so this
for
is
the
settled,
record,
obviously.
I will file have notice at least 24 hours before any terms of action. So, for the record, I will file one objection that this is improper as a violation of open meetings law. And if it's passed,
Now, and let me
there
let him
will probably
finish.
be further action on this. Thank you.
Okay, now right after this,
You're asking my opinion?
there's discussion
The amendment is
with
allowed to be
Jacobs.
agended, the amendment is allowed to be amended by unanimous vote of the council. That is clear, that's rules, that are the, it follows all the state statutes, it follows, all of our,
And he's right about that.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct.
He's absolutely correct.
Yeah, Settle
But-
was not correct or jumped the gun on it.
Now, but a matter of parliamentary procedure, and I'm pretty confident that if there's if you continue an issue with Robert's rules, whoever continued or seconded it, and the motion passes, they're the only ones that can bring the issue back up again. But
I think you're correct.
David Crockett makes a good point, but it doesn't make it good government. He's right. We shouldn't have to be getting down into a technicality on whether it's good government or not to have an issue of this level of substance to be just slipped in on the agenda, and then a letter from a principal. The public should have had the benefit. I think what Settle is trying. The point he's trying to make is that the public should have been given the opportunity and the benefit to be able to read and consume what Union Pacific said and look at it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So I've kind of backed us up a little bit. I'm going to hit play for a second. This should be the spot where Irwin makes the motion, but let's see here.
Today on that, so. Motion, if y'all want to add that back to the agenda.
Motion for, add that to our agenda today?
I'll second that.
Who made the motion?
That's right, who made the motion?
Say again?
Who made the motion?
That's what I'm
Well,
asking.
I'll make the motion. I thought
All right, so he seconded
see
it
there?
because he thought somebody had made the motion, and then Phyllis is on the ball. She's like, hey, wait a minute, somebody's got to make the motion, then you can second it. There's a little bit of confusion, and Irwin's, I'll make the motion.
Now, from a technical standpoint, Darby did request that it get at, because he said that until he had a letter, he wouldn't, consider the issue again until he had a letter from UP. They got a letter from UP, man of his word. He requested that it be added to the agenda. From a technical standpoint, I think he had to make the motion, or Chris Smith had to make a motion to add it back on there. But again, we're splitting hairs at this
Right.
point. Settle is correct. Is it good government? Is it not good government? And is it transparency or a lack of transparency to be trying to slip this through the way that they just did?
Yeah, and Holly Cole has another good comment. She says, I'm sure if the king had been there, he would have been escorted out, I think she's talking about Settle, and not had that second chance to go back up. Yeah, King David would have been screaming point of order. We got the opportunity to miss that at today's meeting. Okay, so where do we want to go next? And again, I'll be a little bit off on the times, but I think I've kind of got it figured out. They're about 5 minutes off from the live versus the after it's
Well,
processed.
needless to say, they pushed on past Settle, and they
Right.
got that on the agenda. And we're going to come back to that. And so, for all of y'all hanging in there watching, we appreciate you hanging in there. This is going to be kind of long and drawn out, but I promise you, the sweet spot on this deal is coming up. I mean,
Yes.
your mouth is going to hit the floor when you hear what transpired regarding this Shed Road.
Yes.
Your mind is going to be blown. And if you know anybody that is interested in that subject matter and they want to see what their local city government and how they're approaching issues as it pertains to you, you might want to cue them up for this one, because they're going to be shocked and awed. I mean, as if you couldn't be already. But there were other things in this council meeting, Rex. Did you know?
Yes, they also discussed adding additional fees to the water bills and different things that you have to pay the city for, where you have the opportunity to pay by credit or debit card or by ACH. And so there was discussion to add those fees in, and Chris Smith brought up a couple of good points about those fees, including who handles the merchant services for the city. So for those of you that don't know how it works, I'll keep it real simple.
I just got to ask, why is it always Chris Smith?
Who's
Why is
asking
he
the really
only-
good questions?
Why is he the only councilman that is chiming in on these issues and asking good questions? Why is that?
Well, he's not just a yes man. And look, if Chris does something really crazy, we're going to be on Chris too. But so far, at least Chris is trying to actually ask the questions that a lot of us want answered, and so he did. So I'll just go through this real quick, just so you folks know. The city doesn't work directly with Visa and MasterCard and American Express. Nobody does. You have merchant service providers who handle the back end of the credit card transactions and all that on behalf of the acquiring banks and Visa and MasterCard, and it's this whole conglomeration. Okay. So Chris asked some good questions about the fees, because they're discussing adding an additional fee if you pay, for instance, your water bill or whatever online, because the city is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because the city's having to pay a percentage, and it varies, but 1.5% up to 3.5%, depending on the card type, etc. plus a transaction fee, probably going to be 10 or 15 cent transaction fee that the city has to pay every time. So if your water bill is $100, then generally speaking, as an average roundabout number, the city will only get, let's just say for example, 98 out of that $100, which doesn't sound like much till you add up the thousands of people that are paying their water bills or whatever else they pay the city for. Okay, so that's the deal, folks. And Chris asked some good questions about that. I'm just going to kind of skim over it real quick. Company called Heartland US, and they're fairly reputable, does the merchant services, and the city is not paying a flat rate. They're paying what's called interchange plus. I don't want to get too far down in the weeds, but different card types have different percentages that the merchant, in this case the city, pays. So an American Express will be 2.5 to maybe even over 3%. Whereas a Visa with some rewards points might only be a 2% transaction. So there is some variance there, and that's important because the city says, let me see if I can get up there. Let's see, that should be around according to this new timestamp, around the 9-minute mark. All right, let's go. I'm going to roll from right here, and let's see if we can find this.
But I know some of them do differ.
I know on my machine in my store that somebody comes in there and want to pay the bill and stuff, they charge them automatically.
Right.
Everything's, it could be like $3.50, it could be $10, but every bill's different.
Okay.
But we won't lose no money.
All right, here we go.
I just want to make sure that we're just passing this fee off. We're not making a profit on this.
Okay, that's important. You heard that. So according to the city, and they published this, and just clarified it right there with Chris's direct question, that the city is not going to make any money off of these additional fees. They're going to do this to recoup their losses. Okay, but that's an important thing to remember as they move forward with this, folks.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, moving along past this one,
Right.
there was a lady that, and we talked about it a little bit earlier at the 1640 mark, that got up there and spoke about comments. She ends up getting up there speaking about comments that were made at a previous council meeting regarding the Civic Center, and arguably her husband. So I don't know this lady, don't know anything about it, but I've got the show times at 1640.
Yeah, which it's basically 5 minutes before then, just so you know, Duke. And hey, this is live, folks, so we've had a little technical deal here. So anyway, I'm going to hit play right here. This will be close. Here we go.
From the audience?
There she is right there.
I'm Amy Dennis, 1724 Allison Avenue, Bossier 71112. There were a few things said at the November 2nd council meeting. I'm Fred Dennis's wife, for those of you who didn't get that. It was stated that the 3 guys over there left unannounced. They did not. I just wanted to come here and make that clear. My husband gave his resignation October 21st, and he worked through October 29th, as did Taylor and Morgan. It was also said that it was going to become a better place, and maybe we can start getting some people in there. What a slap in the face to my husband, who worked here for 22 years. 22 years.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there because we don't necessarily have to listen to all of this. And look, I don't know these folks from Adam, but you will notice if you watch the whole city council meeting, nobody disputes her. Tommy doesn't dispute her.
What exactly did Tommy Chandler say? I mean, wasn't it Tommy Chandler that said something? That's what I understand.
I think so. I did try to go back through the show, but honestly, I didn't have time to go through the whole thing and find his exact comments. She kind of quoted it there. Again, nobody disputed what she said, even at the end of her 3 minutes here. And so that's kind of interesting. You know, there's this weird pattern going on because you got this whole deal going with Shane McWilliams and now these 3 folks over at the Civic Center. And, well, I've had a mind blank. What was the other city engineer that got forced into retirement, whatever? I mean, there's like this pattern going on all of a sudden.
It is. I mean, so I would love to go back to that last meeting and see what it was that I mean, we were told that Tommy Chandler is the one that said something about all these disparaging about these employees over there. In fact, the word that was conveyed to us was slandered the employees of the Civic Center. And then when I heard this lady speaking today, it made me scratch my head and say, um, wait a minute. I thought Brad Zagoni was in charge of the Civic Center. And now I'm hearing about this lady being over there, and Tommy's bad mouthing this lady's husband and a couple of other employees. I mean, what's going on here?
I don't know. And they badmouthed NTB. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the city council and the administration. It literally is a clown show.
It would appear so.
Maybe somebody watching can remember it. And again, I'll when I have more time, I'll go back and find it. So we'll clarify it, on a future show or whatever. But something's definitely going on over there.
Okay, so we're at the I have it marked at 21-minute mark. The Union Pacific Shed Road closing, and here's where the bombs start dropping. And so we're gonna try this out in this show, Rex. I think. What are we at on the time of the show? It's kind of. Right. I think we've been at it a while.
This should be at the 16. Oh, we're at the hour and 30-minute mark.
So do we want to try this? What does everybody think? Do y'all want to try the intermission thing? This is good at the time.
Yeah, and we hadn't had any comments in a while. So, folks, y'all comment no. I know we've still got 60-some odd people watching across all the channels. So we can do an intermission here for a few minutes or whatever. And now, look, y'all have the advantage of being able to carry your phones around or whatever, while you're doing other things around the house. We're literally stuck here in front of the desk.
Yeah, so we're right here up to the precipice. We are ready to drop, I guess you could say, the bombs of what took place at the city council meeting today, and they were significant.
Right.
So I guess we just need to try it. I'm not seeing any new comments as well either. I don't know if things are hung up or what, but we're going to try out the intermission thing, and then we're going to be right back. And
yeah. Yeah, it'll be a 10-minute intermission. All right, so it's going to be a 10-minute intermission, folks. Trish says, no, keep rolling. Okay, so to be clear, this means we might need to take a quick bathroom break and go recharge our drinks because we're stuck here at the desk. So we're going to do a 10-minute intermission. It may not even be 10 minutes. Might end up being 5, all right? So you'll see the countdown roller. We're going to take at least a 5 up to a 10-minute break. We will be right back, and we hope that y'all stay with us. And we'll go from there. All right, so we're going to try this.
Hey, while we're on break, y'all can take the time and share out to some folks and get some more folks in here, because if they're from Bossier, they want to pay attention to this, because your city government is, how can I say it, Rex?
They're full of it, and they're a bunch of clowns.
They're full of it, and they're clowning on you. They're making fun of you, and your neighbors, they need to know about this. And The only way they're going to know about it is if you tell them they need to watch this. I mean, we're not making this crap up. I mean, we don't have the time of day to be making this crap up. We're just conveying it to you. So help us get the message out there.
All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. You're going to see an intermission countdown timer, so you can just use that as kind of your gauge. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Here we go. Okay, so we only did 5 minutes, folks, so we'll give you all a couple minutes in case you're not paying attention or whatever to come back in. But see, that wasn't so bad. We just needed a quick little break, kind of adjust, and quick bathroom break, refill our drinks, get our notes together. Anyway, so we appreciate everybody that's sticking with us. And Duke, I gotta say, let's see, where is that comment from your wife again? She's your wife says, "I'm waiting on you hand and foot. Why do you need an intermission?"
Boy, I believe you me, there are things that I could say, but I'm not going to. This is a friendly show here. I'm just anyway,
Well, I'm just
gonna stop.
my office is in my garage, removed from the house, and so when I went outside, I think Gina, my wife, is watching, and she was letting the dogs out. I go outside, and you know what my wife said to me? "You better hurry up."
That's right. That's right.
Not, honey, can I get you another drink going or whatever? No, she says, "You better hurry up." That was awesome. So anyway.
Well, I am impressed that that worked actually, and we still got a lot of folks still here. I mean, it's solid. I mean, I think we have cut down to the hardcore folks, and I'm just wondering, what do y'all think? Is the intermission? Would you rather not? I mean, for us, I liked it, but y'all cool with it? Let us know.
Yeah. Like I said, every now and then a little break, and during the break, I was able to also pull up the Raw City video, and so somehow between the watching it on YouTube Live and then watching it after the fact, there's a 5-minute time gap, and I'm not really sure what that is. So we need to be aware of that on the future shows as well. But anyway, so we've got it figured out. It's right about 5 minutes. So let's move up to the let's move back into the city council meeting, and let me get this thing rolling here. I'm going to move to
Now, here's the thing. So, why is all this important? I would argue that probably, all the folks that are watching tonight, y'all know the significance of Shed Road. You know, it's one of the oldest roads in Bossier City. The historical significance of Shed Road. Shed Road was here before the railroads were here. I mean,
yes,
that's part of this. Irregardless of how many freaking cars go across there or whatever, Shed Road was here before the freaking railroads was here. Okay.
Yes.
And to simply just want to cut bait and close Shed Road or close a part of it or whatever, enough of that crap. But that was.
And you and I differ just slightly on that because, I mean, honestly, I hope they don't close Shed Road or at least that end of it, but I'm more interested in them not closing it simply because they're lying.
Well, yeah, my interest, you and I, Rex, we're on the same page. I'm more interested in why are they so hell bent on
hold on, pause, hold that thought for a second. So, Joey says the railroads were here first. And Joey, I would normally agree with you. However, as we showed on our last show, Shed Road was here long before the first railroad was built in Bossier City. And that's just a historical fact. So in this case, Shed Road was here first. All right. So, sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but continue on.
So, at the 21-minute mark, minus 5 minutes.
Yep, I'm there.
We
Should
get
be
to the meat and potatoes of UP, the Union Pacific crossing at Shed Road and closing. We're here at the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah, so folks, y'all bear with us for a minute. We're going to listen to this part of the meeting, and should be listening to Phyllis actually read the letter from Union Pacific. And this is where the soap opera and the drama starts. So here we go.
Motion carries. Adopt a resolution permanently closing Union Pacific Railway located at Old Shed Road, City of Bossier, and authorizing Mayor Thomas H. Chandler to execute any and all documents necessary to effect said closing. Final reading.
So moved.
Second. Like Ms. McGraw said at the beginning, We got a letter from UP this morning. And there's been a lot of talk about this, so I talked to some of the council members. We're gonna have Ms. McGraw read it, if you don't mind, Phyllis.
Of course. It's dated November 16th, 2021. It's on Union Pacific letterhead, and it's addressed to Mayor Chandler. After a recent meeting between Union Pacific's representative, Rail Pros, and Bossier City, it was brought to the attention of Union Pacific Railroad that the city has no intention of closing Shed Road as part of their Parkway North Overpass project, and that the Bossier City wishes for Shed Road to remain open. In order to progress this change in project scope, Union Pacific requires the city to execute a preliminary engineering agreement and perform a diagnostic to review the impacts of the proposal to Union Pacific operations and property. In our experience, a typical project of this type can take from 16 to 36 months from proposal to completion. Part of this timeline would include the city gaining the approvals of the city's initial design from the Union Pacific, the United States Army Corps of Engineers, the local levy or water district, and any other
Hang on.
stakeholders. Comments or directives from stakeholders.
Well,
Now-
let's pause.
16 to however many months,
Right.
and Army Corps engineers, all those different levee board, all those different agencies. Well, they've already got approvals from some of those, so they're saying it's going to take 16 to however many months. Their experience, 16 to however many of those months. Now, none of these councilmen asked, okay, wait a minute. They're saying their experience is it takes 16 to something months. They're not saying, they didn't say in that sentence, Union Pacific would take a minimum of 16 months. They said in their experience, it would take 16 months to get the approval from all these different agencies. That's what I heard in that sentence there. We can rewind and we can play it again if anybody disputes that. That's what I heard. Did you not hear that?
Well, here's what I heard, and it goes back to the saying I've used a couple of times on the show now, which is dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit.
Now, the other part of that is they received that this morning. They
Right.
received it this morning. Now, you would think that if they received some letter from Union Pacific that morning, you would think that everybody would know about that letter, wouldn't you?
Well, you would think, but I got to say, at the 45 mark, minus 5 minutes, at the 40 minute, 45 second mark, Phyllis says it just came across her desk at 12:45 today.
So I'm wondering who got it this morning and who didn't get it this morning. And if Phyllis didn't get it till 12:45, I'm wondering at what times did everybody else get it? I'm told that some people didn't get it until 30 minutes before walking into this council meeting. So it begs the question, was this a structured deal that only
Or was it
some
a
people-
cover their asses deal?
or
Let's
was this
just
a
be
co-
blunt.
It sounds to me like there was some organization to this whole process. Anyway,
And now, Barry
Just-
Butler says, but don't we already have approval? Barry, they get to that in the meeting, so just hold that thought.
but I'm just pointing that out for everybody watching. I mean, we may not have got to the part of Phyllis acknowledging the time that she got it at, but we heard Bubba Williams say he got it this morning.
Right.
Keep going.
All right, here we go. Continuing on.
Could greatly influence the proposed layout and design of your proposed project. Any changes to design during the railroad review process will only result in further delay, as redesigns and new diagnostics may be required as a result of any changes.
Now, I want to pause right there for a second because you just heard, again, Phyllis is reading the letter from Union Pacific, that they said that redesigns are going to take time. Well, if they redo the Shed Road crossing and they don't like the roundabout, that by itself is going to require a slight redesign, right?
Oh, yeah, and we will circle back around to that.
Yes, there's a lot more on that one.
But there was another statement that was made in there. I think she said it already, but now if y'all are paying attention, a recent meeting with UP and Rail Pro met with the city.
Yeah.
Did she already say that?
I think so, yes. And I want to let those from the current city council who are watching or having other folks watch y'all may as well let them know that we're about to show and call certain folks in the city council and the administration liars. So just let them know to come on in and join the show, and feel free to comment. Okay.
Yeah, and look, if you're watching incognito or what have you, you might as well just go ahead and come on and just watch straight up. I mean, everybody watching the show knows you're paying attention to what we're reporting, I mean, why hide?
Yeah, we'll even bring you on as a guest. You can call in, or you can come in with a video link. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's easier that way. I mean, let's let it all be out there in the air. Anyway,
okay, so let's continue on.
It.
Yep, here we go.
During the above described review process, Union Pacific would be unable to issue any necessary construction easements and/or permits allowing work to continue in its right-of-way due to concerns that any ongoing planned work would likely be subject to change or redesign due to the nature of any approved plan or design.
There's that whole
Union
baffling
Pacific
thing.
concurs with the industry concerns regarding roundabouts within a distance near
Here we
enough
go
to
again.
create concerns
More
of
baffling.
queuing and impacts to the at-grade crossing due to potential to increased risk.
Stop.
All right.
Stop the presses. I just had a councilman text me and says, I'm not hiding, damn it.
Hey, tell him bring it.
If you're not on here commenting, you're hiding.
That's right. All right. So, Barry Butler, I want to circle back to your deal about already having approval. I don't know if you caught that, Barry, but the baffling information from the Union Pacific, they're dancing around giving a straight, solid answer and just coming right out and blackmailing the city council, but they just kind of address that you don't have complete approval. You got approval for the overpass, but you ain't got approval to get on the right-of-way to build the overpass, which also addresses David Jones's comment.
But wait a minute, Rex. You don't need to be clarifying that. You need to just wait and let somebody with some legal knowledge articulate that.
Oh, really? Okay, let's hit play
yes,
again.
sir.
Here we go. We're trudging on through, folks.
Roadway users and the railroad. Union Pacific shall not approve a roundabout on or near its property due to these safety and operational concerns. Should Bossier City agree to close the at-grade crossing at completion of the project, the city and the Union Pacific would be in a better position to execute the overpass agreement in a more expeditious manner, which would allow for the city to apply for the necessary right-of-way
That's straight up blackmail.
to begin work. It is the position of
You know,
Union Pacific that the permanent closure.
I
of
didn't
the
know
at-grade
any better. That shit was wrote by somebody in the city attorney's office.
You don't say.
Anyway, roll on.
Roll on.
It Shed Road would address any and all safety concerns potentially caused by the project. Thank you for your time and consideration of this matter, and it was signed by Eric Lewis, Manager of Industry and Public Projects with Union Pacific.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there for just a second. I know we want to get to the legal interpretation as much as that's like hearing the Charlie Brown teacher in the cartoon. I want to ask everybody watching what you did not hear about in that letter. So you always want to look at the negative space. We know what she just said, and I'm sure Phyllis was reading it verbatim from the letter, of course. But what was not included in all that BS in that letter? What was not there? And it was, I'll give you all a hint, it was very prominent at the last meeting. And we made a big deal of it the last show. Or the show.
Dang, I guess you're going to make me have to go back and watch our last show because I can't remember.
I'm just going to throw it out there. If we had coffee mugs, we might give one away to the first person who can tell me correctly what was missing completely from that entire BS letter from Union Pacific. All right, so let's trudge on through and listen to the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, 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 wah.
Thank you, Phyllis.
And
you,
Phyllis did a great job, by the way. So
Mr. President, I appreciate we having gotten this correspondence from the Union Pacific, but I wanted to ask the attorney to do a brief summation of the letter so that we can be clear on what has been compromised and what has been agreed upon.
yes, Phyllis can read, David.
Well, I think the letter and we've heard it now.
And here we go with the
from
Charlie
horse's
Brown
mouth.
teacher.
I know that I myself, the mayor, various members of the city council have been in meetings.
Now, wait a minute.
talks,
Did you hear that?
Extensively with Union Pacific.
Shall we back that up?
Him, the mayor, and various members of the city council. He didn't say all the members of the. He said various members of the city council, which I
wonder-
thought was odd.
Wonder which members that could actually be.
I
I bet
thought
he invited all of them opposed to it. Opposed to
I'm just-
closing.
Yeah, probably so. Anyway, I thought that was odd what he said. But anyway, roll on.
Okay, here we go.
Bruce Easterly, who's involved in the project.
Wait a minute.
the
Whoa,
city
hold
engineer.
up. Bruce Easterly. Who's
Yes.
that?
He is the project manager, I believe. Isn't that his official title?
Wait a minute. I thought he was an engineer for the Bossier Parish Police Jury.
Well,
Is
Bruce
that not
does.
accurate?
Bruce does a lot of things. As a matter of fact, I think he educated us a little bit at one of the Cypress District meetings about was it Bruce that did the sewer and water? No, that was over some easements that there was some discussion in one of the Cypress districts. Bruce a nice guy. He's apparently got his hat into a lot of different rings.
Wait a minute. I remember Bruce Easterly. Bruce Easterly was the guy when I was a fireman when Carriage Oaks and Stockwell was potentially going to be flooded off a red chute.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in one of those meetings and Bruce Easterly was looking at the numbers and saying, hey, you know what? Look, the numbers are dropping. We're in the clear. We're in the clear now. The water's going down. And then all of a sudden it came up another foot or two and was about to overtop all the levees and flood every house up there. I remember that. But that's irrelevant. Bruce Easterly, I think he's an employee of the police juries, but yet he's the project manager on a project for the Waterow Bigby Carriageway.
Yeah, I don't know if he's on the payroll of the police jury, if he's an independent guy.
We need to look that up.
We need to
look that up.
Maybe
Because if
Barry
he's
knows
getting-
that.
If he's one of the guys getting a six-figure salary from the police jury, and then he's also private practicing, boy, I got to tell you, that raises some questions.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So let's listen some more to the Charlie Brown teacher, otherwise known as Mr. Charles Jacobs.
In other personnel, Union Pacific has stated that they have now just become aware. They have never been notified.
Bullshit.
Just recently become aware that the old Shed Road at grade crossing, there were plans to have that remain open. They were unaware of that. Therefore,
BS.
that caused them great concerns for the
Great
safety,
concern.
Great
Safety.
safety concerns, as
Wait.
stated in the letter.
Don't give it away yet.
Therefore, now becoming aware of that, they want to basically engage in a study and, do their due diligence.
Engaging in
with all the
blackmail.
Federal safety regulatory agencies, things of that nature, to look at, and address the concerns, sort of evaluate the concerns of keeping that at-grade crossing open. And they're stating that this process takes anywhere from 16 to 36 months from start to finish. They've also further said now, when they were presented with this plan.
All right, do we have to continue listening? He's literally telling us what Phyllis just read.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear his interpretation. The man doesn't even read contracts.
Now, he goes on to say that numerous members, I think he said it before then, numerous members of the mayor's office and the council met. I'm interested in knowing who all from the mayor's office and the council met with Union Pacific and who all actually heard that safety was the issue. And I got to tell you, I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit. They've all been having these nefarious meetings with Union Pacific. And what?
Yeah, I'm going to fast forward just a couple of minutes here because
Union Pacific was never notified, unaware caused them great concern, now becoming aware.
Yeah.
Those are what Charles Jacobs, city attorney, used. UP never notified, unaware, caused them great concern, now becoming aware of that.
Okay, and so I'm fast forwarding a couple of minutes through his voice, and let's listen to this part. This should be about the J.B. James contract on hold and potential city liability. So here we go.
Materials, things of that nature, that would certainly occur during that time period. So, however, Union Pacific has basically stated that if you agree to close the crossing, you agree to get rid of the roundabout, there won't be, we won't have any problems with giving you the necessary construction easements and whatever needed permits are necessary to complete this project. So a decision has to be made. And that decision is.
And blah, 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 blah. So right before that, he was talking about putting the contract on hold and how much that would potentially cost the city, and the city would be liable and blah, blah, blah. And he really needs to read a contract. We need to do a public information request for that contract.
Well, it's funny you say that, because before the council meeting was done, I sent a request for the contract with that company. I sent a request for the contract. Because from what I understand is that contract is an interesting contract, to say the least, and one that a lot of the stuff that is being articulated in this council meeting is, what was our show before? Baffling bullshit?
Yeah, basically, yes.
That's what I understand. But I understand that other people have sought to get the copy of this contract and have been stonewalled in getting a copy of this contract. So it's going to be interesting to see everybody watching, and those of you in the city that are watching and are not technically watching, know that we put a request in for a copy of the contract with the construction company, and it was sent today. So you'll be able to see yourself, because we'll report it as soon as we get it. So you'll get an opportunity to see whether or not the city of Bossier City is baffling us with bullshit and not presenting it. It shouldn't be a question. Every citizen in Bossier should have the opportunity to be able to look at it. It shouldn't be nothing to hide there, right?
Well, they're certainly not dazzling us with brilliance. So let's go on, and because here in just about, I think, 20 or 30 seconds, Darby starts questioning Ben.
Has to be made by the city council.
So we have to endure Jacobs for, yeah, here we go.
I did have a couple of things I wanted to ask Ben about the Union Pacific.
Yeah, Ben, come on up here and get you some.
In the letter, it states there is easements and or permits, and then it has the wording overpass agreement. So is the overpass agreement and the construction easement the same? Are those the same, or are we talking about two different
Here's your answer, Barry Butler.
components here?
I'm trying to pick up where you're specifically referencing, Councilman Darby, but there are multiple, there's a permit, and then there are a couple of agreements. Those agreements include what they call a construction management agreement and a contractor's right of entry agreement. Those two documents we secure upon securing a contractor to go to work out there. We've been working on that for a while, and this is the result of that.
Okay, so that's more than one permit that we have to secure.
We have a permit to go over the railroad. We do not currently have a permit to make any alterations to their at-grade crossing there on.
And I got to say, these three guys right back here
Overpass, that's an agreement.
are NTB guys.
Both.
It's both. And we don't have that, right?
We have the permit, we don't have the agreements.
Okay. All right,
So we currently don't have authorization from the railroad to gain access to their right-of-way to construct the project.
okay. So therefore, if this council decide to approve the closure, what we will get in turn is the agreement and the permits?
You'll get the agreements. We have the permit, but we will get the agreement to work within their right-of-way to perform
Okay.
the project.
But
Now-
there's more than one
now-
permit, right?
Now, wait a minute. Darby makes a good point there. He says, we will get the agreements, and Ben Russian, whatever, we got to think of an easy name.
Ben.
Rochambeau?
Ben R.
Ben R says we'll get the agreements. I mean, he says that as a matter of fact, but interestingly, the letter from UP, it didn't give the assurances that Ben R gives right there for some reason. Why is that?
Well, you know, Darby does make a comment up here in just a few minutes, and he says, quote, talking to Ben about the guy from Union Pacific, Darby asked Ben, says, did he put that in writing?
Yeah, it gets even better. But
Yeah.
moving right along, I think at the 31:43 mark, moving right ahead, I think Ben makes the comment and says, and this gave me pause watching the show. Watching this council meeting. He says, I don't believe we need any more permits.
Right.
That didn't give me any confidence when he says, I don't believe.
Yeah, so let's listen to that. I'm going to hit play. I think it should be here in just a few seconds if he hadn't already said it.
There's one permit to go over
Just
the
one.
railroad, but we don't intend to do anything at Shed Road at that crossing.
Okay, so we won't need any more permits
Here we
after
go.
this?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
That's the city engineer talking,
Hey.
folks.
Need any more agreements after
Hold on.
this?
No, sir.
Okay.
No agreements. He doesn't believe we'll need any more permits from the railroad.
He doesn't know, but he doesn't believe. I mean, we'll just have to do this, and maybe by chance, everything will work out. We can take our chances here. Let's
Now-
just roll the dice and see how it turns out. Let's go to the boat.
Yeah, I want to go back to my deal earlier. Is I think David Johnson earlier started alluding to it, but what is missing from all of this discussion that was such a big issue at the last meeting? What is missing? I don't even think we heard it one time in this entire meeting today. Okay.
I don't know, but it's 21:06, and okay, so everybody watching, we maybe are all going to show up at Horseshoe Casino, and we're going to all maybe meet at the roulette table, and we're going to all maybe roll the dice and hope it turns out right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's make sure. Ding, ding, ding. David Crockett got it right. Safety at the intersection. Yes. Keep that in mind, David. If we had coffee mugs, which we don't right now, we would send you one.
So at the 32:40 mark, Rex, I got to tell you, Chris Smith, this guy, I mean, I'm glad that I call him a friend, because I got to tell you, right here at this point, he shined. And if you're a citizen of Bossier, you may not appreciate what this guy says at the 32:40 mark, but you ought to listen to it, and you ought to listen to it and think about what he says right here real close, because he just said something of significance.
Yeah, and he is the councilman at large, so technically he represents everybody in Bossier. So we'll be close right here. This may be a little bit before it, but he'll be coming up shortly.
We have to go through that long, drawn-out process of
Probably here, probably in about 10
16
or
to
15
36
seconds.
months of due diligence on the part of UP. So I am clear about that.
Here we go. I think this is it.
Thank you.
I'd just like to piggyback a little bit. I agree with Mr. Darby. I'm clear on what Union Pacific's demands are to move this project forward. I'm not particularly happy with it, but it is what it is. I do think that a mistake was made somewhere, and I'm not here to litigate and debate who made that mistake and who didn't. I have a pretty clear understanding of who I think it is, but a mistake was made somewhere, and I think that as a city, as a council and administration, we need to work to make sure that future projects, we don't find ourselves where we're at today, because I don't want to get in the habit of having to close a railroad crossing just to get a project complete, because our city's built around the railroad. So I just want to make sure that going forward that we're diligent with whether it's contractors, whether it's within the city, that we are dotting every I and crossing every T.
In other words, don't drop the ball again.
Anyone else?
Well,
Councilman?
I got to tell you, stop it. I got to tell you, I mean, he is always being too nice in his dealings with David Montgomery. He asks the question, and he doesn't like put the uppercut in there behind it. He never does it. He just kills them with kindness. And I mean, look, I got to tell you, I don't know. I mean, I think this is what public service is about. This guy here is framing it for you. And if you didn't pick up on what he just said right there, nobody else in there, with maybe the exception of Darby, is wanting to lay the blame at the feet. And that's as close as you're going to get to laying the blame where the blame deserves to be laid.
Yeah, except now you're right on the council and administration side. Of course, there are some speakers that come up here in a little bit. They absolutely lay the blame where it belongs for the most part. So anyway, all right. Do we want to go ahead and hear Maggio talk about not beating the railroad?
Well, Vince Maggio spoke. I mean, I don't know what happened here, but Vince Maggio spoke more than I've heard him speak in all the other council meetings combined since he's been sworn in. In one meeting, he went all out there, which really kind of surprised me.
Well, let's listen to Vince.
I'm glad that he spoke. He was articulate, and he made his point that he wanted to make. You know, I'm glad he spoke.
Yeah, so let's listen to Vince.
Meet with the mayor last week with UP, and you know, ain't no way we can beat the railroad. I mean, really. I tried everything, Washington and all, but I begged them, if we close this crossing, we get the overpass built, that you will do something with the trains, with the time sitting on those tracks for us, North and South Bossier. I mean, he looked at me, he goes, I can work on that. But the last couple of weeks, the train's been 240, 260 cars, 55 minutes, or hour and 22 minutes on the tracks crossing Shed, East Texas, and Barksdale. I said, if we can't do this, please help us with the time on our peak hours in Bossier City. Will he put the trains through early in the morning, late at night, or just our peak hours, just cut less train traffic? He said he would help us on that.
Yeah, in the first meeting, he talked about moving, they have stop signs too, moving their stop signs back. You know.
Right as he was pitching you that oceanfront property in South Bossier to buy.
And have to stop, or get to Barksdale Boulevard and have to stop.
Yeah.
Stop them further out, so.
Hint,
I mean,
the trains are not going to reroute their schedules to appease Bossier.
He's got some
Hint,
projects
hint.
he wanted to do, go look at things like that, so, yeah.
Councilman Maggio?
Yes, sir.
Did he happen to put that in writing?
No.
Boom.
No, he said he would work on it.
Boom.
And then he asked me my name, number, where I worked and everything, but I begged him for the citizens of Bossier. We need that.
Yeah,
Peak hours.
not going to happen there, Vince.
Now, did you hear Williams? He seemed genuine.
Yeah, he may have been. No, I think Bubba Don was serious. Well, he seemed genuine.
I think he was serious.
He's going to put stop signs further down the tracks to stop his trains that are trying to be on time for deliveries of all the things that the railroads do and all that. Yeah, he's going to put a stop sign down there and hold his trains up so that airline drive traffic and Texas Street traffic and all that will not be held up. I got news for you guys. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed genuine. I mean, you're fixing to. How ludicrous is that comment that he seemed genuine? And I like Bubba. I really do like Bubba. I've always liked Bubba. I think he's a good-hearted guy, but I'm going to be nice and say that I think he's out of touch to say that this guy seemed genuine. I mean, because obviously there's some contradictions to that. And for Maggio, for Darby to be asking the questions of Maggio, did you get it in writing? And he goes on. He doesn't stop there. Keep going with it, Rex.
Yep, here we go.
Take notes that you write it down.
I don't forget.
Did you take notes? Did you write it down?
Nope, he don't
I
forget.
believe he'll help us with it, will he?
I think he'll help us.
We was in that meeting, Judge was there, and everybody was there with us.
Oh, the
So I
judge
believe
was
he'll
there.
work with us.
Okay, so you had witnesses.
Oh, yeah.
So you had,
Ben, any comment?
now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Darby says, so did you have witnesses? Now
Did you
back
get
up,
it in
though.
writing? Oh, so you have witnesses. You didn't take notes, but you have witnesses this time.
Now Rex, was Darby saying something else?
I think Darby was being a little sarcastic.
Now wait a minute. Darby says, did you get it in writing? Did you take notes? Did you have witnesses? Now, wait a minute, Rex, let me ask you something. Was Darby not there?
Oh, imagine that.
Was Darby trying to say that he wasn't even there?
Now, why wouldn't Darby? Look, I got to give him credit. Maybe Darby wasn't there because they didn't want us to come out and accuse him of having a walking quorum.
So
Or
Maggio's talking about a meeting with UP. Nobody in the public, I've not heard it anywhere in any media that there was even a meeting between the city leaders of Bossier and Union Pacific. But now all of a sudden we're hearing about this meeting. Maggio is articulating and Williams is articulating that they were, wait a minute, what's the words? They were sincere or genuine. You know,
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, and you got Darby sitting there saying, "Did you get it in writing? Did you take notes? Were there witnesses?" I mean, it sounds like Darby wasn't even there.
That's what it sounds like to me. The only thing that would put icing on this cake is if they mention King David's name as being at this meeting too. That would just be the icing on the cake.
It sounds to me like everyone was there other than the person who made the motion to continue this and oppose it, and the person who made the second. Sounds like everybody was there except those guys.
Well, maybe they didn't invite him because it sounds like Darby may have shown up with contract in hand going, that's great, sign this and put it in writing. If you're going to blackmail us, sign it and put it in writing.
I can't help but think was the Cat in the Hat onto something, talking about good government. I mean, is good government being transparent or being untransparent? If that's right.
The water's awfully muddy at this city council. Okay, so let's move up to the what is it? The 3640 mark. That's where the good guys come in.
Yeah, the good guys. Obviously, I mean, I have no problem saying who the good guys are, and I'm going to jump on out there and say it right now. The good guys are NTB and TRC.
Yeah.
These are the good guys in this. The council, the mayor, and the office, not the good guys. Manchac, not the good guys. I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
Yeah, David Jones says the kind of nice, sincere people you would not want to date your daughter. They're kind of like Ted Bundy. They're the Ted Bundys of nice guys.
So what on earth could NTB and Paul Rossini here, what on earth could they add it? These are only the guys that the city
They're
attorney,
literally the design firm.
The council called a special meeting to
fire. Right, yeah, they were going to fire these guys.
Wanted to throw these guys into the fire and burn them at the stake over the Shed Road crossing. They tried to hang this around their neck. What on earth could these guys have to say?
Let's listen and see, because folks, this is where it gets really good.
Again, we're the engineer of record. I'm sorry to interrupt, but each speaker has 3 minutes.
Oh, wait a
He's
minute.
speaking
You can
for
only
3 minutes.
talk for
I
3
just
minutes.
wanted
There's
to-
only
Yeah.
3 minutes of your truth that
Okay,
we
no,
can stand.
thank you very much.
Go ahead.
He's going to talk and drop the mic.
So my first comment, just having heard that letter really quick, like, I didn't really hear any kind of a guarantee in that letter from them that if you make the crossing, you get your agreements. I think
Whoa,
it said
wait a minute,
it
what?
will help for you to get your agreements. You might have somebody check the verbiage on that. But here's what I wanted to bring to your attention. Again,
It
we're
will
not
only
your
help.
record.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any guarantee in the letter. It might help. That was UP's in their letter.
Yeah. Well, this guy's just starting to get on a roll. So here we go.
The city is responsible. We work for the city. We love the city. We want the city to have a successful project. And if the city decides to close it, we respect the decision. But I don't think Union Pacific, the players involved, I've been here since the beginning. And I've got a memo in front of me dated 6/27 of 18.
Uh-oh.
In which Mark Hudson, the Bossier City engineer, Grant Gillian of NTBA, Todd Harris of Union Pacific Railroad, and Don Clayton of TRC met on the site and discussed the Shed Road crossing as it crosses the Union Pacific Railroad tracks.
Put on the brakes
Hold
there
up.
for a second. Yeah. Here, we got to have a little rewind thing.
Did everybody hear that? Yeah, we might need to play that again.
Wait, yeah, let me go back just a little bit. Hold on. Let's rewind and play that again.
All of
The
y'all
city decides
watching.
to close
saw
it.
the
Listen
damn
carefully.
decision.
Yeah, listen carefully.
But I don't think Union Pacific, the players involved, I've been here since the beginning. And I've got a memo in front of me dated 6/27 of 18, in which Mark Hudson, the Bossier City engineer, Grant Gillian of NTBA, Todd Harris of Union Pacific Railroad, and Don Clayton of TRC met on the site and
On the
discussed
site?
the Shed Road crossing as it crosses the Union Pacific Railroad tracks.
Wait a minute. He's just said they actually all met on site. I'm guessing that means where the railroad crosses Shed Road, or Shed Road crosses the railroad.
Now, wait a minute. You're telling me he's talking about an email in 2018 where Union Pacific, TRC, the city engineer, all met at the Shed Road crossing to talk about the roundabout and the everything in 2018, but yet all of a sudden there's this letter today, this morning, to the Bossier City Council saying that they had not heard about any of this business with the roundabout or anything, that they didn't know anything about it. And Jacobs even articulated all that crap.
Well, I'm interested to see, because surely NTB brought this up at the meeting with the railroad. I'm sure they were at the meeting. Surely he's going to tell us about that here in a second.
Surely Manshak and David Montgomery and Bubba Williams and the mayor, Tommy Manshak Chandler, would have let NTB, the designers, be at this meeting.
Sure.
Surely they would have invited them to be at that meeting. Surely.
Well, let's listen and find out what happened from this guy's perspective.
So I can put them on the ground in 2018, knowing that we were going to deal with this crossing, and this email is in the public record. I don't have time to read the whole email.
He's
On
only got
November the
3 minutes.
1st, 2019, Clayton Manning at Rail Pros took over the job because Todd Harris left the day before. And on that day, he got an email that was CC'd to Mark Hudson, the city engineer, Paul Rossini, Dirk Crone, Paul Michael from Donald Clayton of TRC, to Clayton Manning, subject being Shed Road crossing at Union Pacific Railroad. Attachments, about 6 plan sheets, including the roundabout. Mr. Manning, per Mark Hudson's request, the attached, please find copies of the roadway plans for the Shed Road at the crossing with Union Pacific tracks. Included are title sheet, plan and profile, so on and so forth. If you
Now, I want to pause right there and point something out now that the B-52 is out of the way. So he just pointed out that they were sent the plans, and I just want to point out that the plans have been posted online. They were published by a couple of different news outlets where this was going to be, including the roundabouts and the Shed Road crossing. This was not like some top secret deal.
But Rex, the mayor, certain council members, and all in UP had this meeting last week or the week before or at some point, and it was conveyed to them that they are just now finding out about this plan for this roundabout. And then you heard just a few minutes ago, you heard the city attorney saying, articulating that they, had they known about it, they haven't known anything about it until now.
Look, I expect that from Jacobs. He didn't read contracts anyway, so we can forgive him a little bit. But let's continue on and listen to some more of the actual facts, apparently, because nobody disputes him.
Questions, please feel free to contact me, Don Clayton. Okay? On April 8th is when Mr. Haydell emailed us to say he was taking over the project. And we were working on the railroad. We had many meetings with the railroad. He was there, we were there. And in November of November of that year, I forwarded all these emails to Mr. Haydell. So for Union Pacific to tell you they had never heard about it before is not what the facts are. And I'm just saying that. I'm not going to go any further with that.
I call that a lie.
But for us to be in that meeting, we
put on the brakes.
So Union Pacific is not being forthright, not being truthful. And this guy is sitting here talking about emails that he has that I'm just going to say it, they're lying.
Yes.
I mean, that's what he's saying. He's being nice, but that's what they're saying. I mean, dadgum, what the hell is going on here? Why is the city council or a majority of the city council and the mayor and the city attorney covering this bull crap? Why are they covering? What is the why here? We're missing something.
Yeah, why do they want this road and crossing closed so damn bad? Did you catch the one thing though? Is that what's the guy's name that runs Manchac? Haydell?
Justin Haydell.
He just said Haydell was part of those meetings once they learned that Manchac was taking over the deal. Right? So Manchac knew about this.
This guy's talking about an email where the plans were all submitted to all of them.
Right.
All of them. RailPro, they had it. So for Union Pacific to send this letter that they received this morning saying they just learned about all of that, I mean, keep playing this guy.
Yeah, here we go.
He doesn't quit
brought that up. The people that have been there all along. And we could have probably argued it a little bit with them. And I would say that they say that they don't have roundabouts in proximity.
Wait, this is good.
In Eagle, Colorado, there's a roundabout that looks exactly like this over a Union Pacific track.
Whoops.
The last thing I would add,
no.
Here's a roundabout with a railroad track going right through the middle of it.
All right, so I'm going to pause it there. So,
no,
obviously, Union Pacific is not totally opposed to roundabouts.
No, they're not. Apparently, they're only opposed to it here in Bossier City. But one of the other points is he made was the design company, hasn't been included in any of the meetings. Why has the mayor's office, the city attorney, and obviously a select group of councilmen excluded NTB, the design people, who were the only part of this puzzle that had been a part of this whole project? Why were they excluded?
Well,
remember,
let's rephrase.
Mark Hudson was the engineer. NTB was here. City attorney wasn't here. The mayor wasn't here. Now the council was here, but the council's not a part of all these things every single day. But these guys were. They got the evidence to show that Union Pacific, not only did they know about all this stuff, they received all this stuff. They've got more evidence. But for some reason, the city council, the mayor, and the city attorney are intentionally excluding NTB from any deliberations with Union Pacific today. Why is that? Is it because NTB will show who is actually at fault in this whole deal? Is that the why? I think it is. My opinion is the mayor, the city attorney, and select councilmen are intentionally excluding NTB so that who is truly culpable for causing this to happen.
Well, there's a bigger picture there, because if that's the case, you're saying that Tommy's joined the good old boys.
I got to go out there and tell you, the GOB network is stronger today.
I do not disagree with you at all.
We will circle back to that in a minute.
And just as soon as I was saying that, here's Shane Cheatham's comment. He's talking to Matthew Smith in the comments, which apparently is Chris's brother, says, Matthew Smith, the GOB Network, is working hard to make sure he doesn't get any help. I hope the people of District 1 figure out which candidate cares about District 1 and which was picked to keep that vote they've had for 18 years. The District 1 race is important, folks. Get out and vote. Okay, so let's continue on here. You brought up a great point, Duke, that NTB was a big part of the meetings, and for whatever reason, the last 6 months, a year, or whatever, have been kind of shut out of this.
Why are they being excluded? These were the guys that the mayor, the city attorney, and a majority of the council called a special meeting to want to go after these guys, and these guys have done nothing but had the city's best interest in mind. But for some reason, they wanted to make these guys to all be the fall guys, and these guys, NTB, are the ones that are they brought facts. Yeah. There's here's emails. We're not just saying this. This is not our opinion.
Dates, times, and names. It's hard to argue.
Yeah, we got emails. We can back it up with facts.
All right, let's continue on and see if he drops the mic here in a minute.
The last thing I would add, I'm out of time, but
Go ahead.
There are other.
Finish your point.
Well, the conversation that it's a dangerous crossing is not for real either. There's 25 claims of accidents at the crossing. I pulled the Federal Railroad records on it. There's 2 that say Shed Road, and one of them's in 1978, and the other one's in 1988. So the whole claim of a dangerous crossing doesn't hold water. But I think
I would like
the city should delay one more time. Go back.
I would like to think that Mr. Rossini watched our show, but I'm not going to take credit where credit's due. He obviously did his own homework. I mean, but he's right. We did the same research and came up with the same conclusion that safety is a bullcrap excuse at this intersection.
And even better than that, we showed all of our viewers how they can do the same research. Don't take our word for it. Don't take this guy's word for it. Go look it up yourself. We did it, what was it, last show before last?
I mean, why is Haydell not at this meeting?
And why is King David not at this meeting? That's suspicious.
Did you think that Haydell didn't know that all this was going to come before this meeting? Why did he send Ben Rauschenberger or Ben R out there to take it? Why did he send him out there to do it? Why did Haydell not jump out here to do this? Yeah. Because he knew. Ben, if you're smart, you leave Manshack, you start your own company, because I think you're just carrying the water for somebody else. But the truth of the matter is, you probably ought to leave. You probably know what you're talking about, but you probably ought not get left holding this bag, because I don't care what you say, you're going to end up getting left with holding this bag.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, here we go.
Union Pacific, maybe have the design team in the meeting so that we can say, we were there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for me on that?
Mr. Rossini, so the discretion is the timeline and the information that was disseminated? That's the issue, you feel?
I feel the ball was dropped, has been said, and I think the emails show that it was in the hands of Union Pacific in 2018. It was in the hands of Rail Pros in 2019. And from there to now is a long, winding road, and we can talk about that further. I feel adamantly that there is sufficient cause for Union Pacific to have to rethink their position based on the fact that his letter saying that they've never heard about it till now, it's just not true.
Okay.
Whoa.
Booyah. Drop the mic, buddy, and walk off the stage.
It's just not
It's never
true.
coming back open, I know that.
And here's the other thing. If you actually go back and listen to Phyllis reading that letter again, and again, she did a fine job of it, they don't say that they won't do it. And, of course, they didn't mention anything in that letter about 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever the daggum number was, wrecks and incidents at that crossing, which, of course, he pointed out is not true. We also pointed out is certainly not true. All that letter is a basic threat or a bluff. City council needs to call their bluff.
Rex, the problem I see here is you don't have anybody down there with any backbone to fight for anything, with the exception of a couple of councilmen. Obviously, the mayor has rolled over and showed his belly. He's unwilling to fight. I mean, I got to tell you, this guy Rossini right here, if he was an engineer or if he is an engineer, Tommy Chandler, you should hire this jackwagon right now because obviously he's got a backbone.
Obviously, he is an adult in the room.
He is the adult in the room. He's not just coming up there with some baffling bullshit. He's coming up there with facts and
dates, times, and look, if the road is closed and the crossing is closed and the roundabout is pulled out, I'm sure they're going to add into the contract. They'll probably get paid for the redesign. So he actually has a vested interest in it being redesigned, I would assume, yet he's still getting up there and arguing the facts. No, this is what went on. This is what went on.
Now, Rex, he makes the most amazing point right here. And everybody watching, y'all should pick up on this point right here that he's going to make at the 4120 minus 5.
Yeah, our math here. I think we're there. Let's see, 41.20 minus 5, 36.20. Well, I think he already made it.
Okay, well, go back to that.
No, let's see. Maybe, no, I think he's fixing to say it. Hold on. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe not. I
Maybe
think
not.
he already said it. You're talking about if you close it, it'll never come back?
No. The part where he says there is sufficient cause for Union Pacific to rethink their position based on the fact that their letter says they have never heard about it until now.
Yeah, he already said that, but we'll play it again.
Play it again.
All right, here we go.
For Union Pacific to have to rethink their position based on the fact that his letter saying that they've never heard about it till now, it's just not true.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
If you close it, it's never coming back open, I know that.
Oh, another good point. And yeah, David Jones, you're correct. He just called the railroad a liar, and he does have some coconuts and kahunas. Oh,
Well,
here's the man with the hat minus the hat.
Oh, stop it out, Rick. Stop it. We got to make this point. Now, look, you're no lawyer, and I'm no lawyer. Okay. And if we've got any lawyers watching, I wanted to know your opinion on this subject matter. So Paul Rossini, that guy right there from NTB, says, based off of those emails, he's got emails where Union Pacific actually met them at Shed Road, and he can document that they all met out at Shed Road. They all discussed the project and the plans and what they're going to do. He's got emails to verify that Union Pacific actually received the plans. There was no objection at that time. And so then juxtapose that against the letter today that was received by the Bossier City Council saying that they didn't know anything and had not received any information about any roundabout or plans. Had they known about it, maybe so. Rossini says there is sufficient cause for UP to rethink their position based on the fact that their letter says they have never heard about it until now, which is patently false based on the emails that he has. So was he saying to the city, all of you councilmen, mayor, and city attorney, former judge that are wanting to just close Shed Road down, are you intentionally glossing over the fact that you potentially have a case against Union Pacific? Is that what he's saying?
Well,
I'm
and
wondering because it sure seems like it.
well, he's giving them all the justification. And granted, it's late and we're at 2 hours and 40 minutes. So, correct me on my line of thinking here, but it's probably going to cost the city and thus the taxpayers more money to redesign and close that crossing. And I don't know what that would cost, but I don't know. Let's just say $100,000, $50,000. I have no idea what it would be to do that. And so, do you think that the majority of that city council sitting there right now are acting fiscally responsibly?
I think I got to tell you, I think a lot of them are acting as cowards because, I mean, and I know every single one of these people. I know them all, and I like them all. And I'm sorry to insult every one of you, but the reality is you're not showing any fight in you. And Maggio, I love you to death. I'll do anything for you. But to say that you can't fight the railroad, bull crap. This guy just gave you evidence that not only are they lying to you, they're taking advantage of you.
Well,
and you're just going to sit here and take it?
And
you're
you
representing not the railroad, you're representing the citizens of Bossier.
Well, and like I've said, the argument can be made. The railroad's letter is quasi blackmail. You already have an agreement in place or whatever to or a permit to go ahead and build the overpass. They were present at the roundabout and the designs, and that they've seen those. And if they're going to try to actually try to stop it, not just allude to it in a letter, then I would argue you definitely have a case to sue. And I'm not a sue-happy person, but this is what Jacobs how he could actually earn his salary.
Now, I don't know if there's a case to be made there. I mean, because playing devil's advocate, if I was the railroad, I would say, well, you know what? Hey, that was our opinion then. Yeah, we did, okay, yeah, hey, we did get the information, but we changed our mind. No, we don't want to do it unless you shut Shed Road down. The fact of the matter is that says right there, Union Pacific are bad actors and they don't have the interest of the citizens of Bossier, much less the United States or anybody else's best interest in mind. And, screw all of you.
Well, and I'm sure they got a lot more money than the city of Bossier since we've wasted so much already on Link Coleman's ordeal.
That's right. But I don't care as much about them as I care about my councilman and these folks representing us. Are they going to fight for you? Because as of right now, the only people I see that are going to fight for you are Darby and Chris Smith. I'm sorry. Those are the only fighters you got right now. Tommy Chandler, where the hell are you?
Well, he's sitting down there on the end, hadn't said anything, and he's for closing it anyway. Remember, he's got a business down there. He's fine with it.
And why is that? I'm going to still contend there is something we're missing. Why is it that all these guys are unwilling to fight on behalf of the citizens of Bossier? Look, it's not about anymore about whether it's it's traffic studies or whether closing the Shed crossing is of the best interest or not. It's not about that anymore.
Right.
Now it's about why is the city attorney and these councilmen not fighting for the citizens of Bossier? That's why are they not doing it? Why are they rolling over and showing their belly?
I don't know. Maybe we need to go down there and talk to some of these businesses that are down there in that little stretch and just ask them, not listen to what Tommy says he's going to do. I don't know. It is baffling to me too. I really don't know. All right.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. We could stay on our soapbox all night. So let's push forward. When's the next one? Do we want to listen to the man in the hat? Yes, we do.
Yeah, we got to listen to the man in the hat because, again, he makes another good point.
Yep.
I'll repeat my objection to this resolution. You are addressed a lengthy letter from Union Pacific that has not been made available to the public, and you're now considering a resolution that has not been made available to the public. And I think that y'all need to realize that good government allows citizens to look at resolutions before meetings, and especially a key letter that is a part of that. Now, since I sat down, I made a public records request to Ms. McGraw to get the resolution, hopefully, I guess, after y'all acted on it, and the letter itself. But good government dictates that. And I disagree with the opinion of council, and I will probably litigate it. But I think y'all need to start looking at the fact that you can do a better job of informing citizens ahead of time and giving citizens the right to speak. It's a new day here in Bossier, if for no other reason that the media is now coming to your meetings. The media is not going to stop coming, and the media is not going to is not going to let things just be the way they were. Y'all need to be open and free with decisions. Not releasing this resolution and the letter today before you vote on it is a disgrace to each of you as elected officials, and it is a disgrace to the people who've elected you.
Mr. Settle, I won't argue with you. I
He-
agree with our attorney.
look,
It does say
he's
if you
right.
want to add something to.
Right.
He's right.
He's dead on right there. He was wrong earlier. He's dead on right there.
Yeah, he's dead on. The media, we're not going to stop. It is
No.
a new time, and we consider ourselves, while we're citizen journalists, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep on this. We're not going to go away, and you can't make us go away. And
We're gonna keep doing the play-by-play commentary. This is fun. We don't even have to go down there in the middle of the afternoon. We can sit here and watch their video and play-by-play critique the game.
But overall, what he was saying, it's not right. It's not good government. And if you think it is good government to try to conduct business that would eliminate the opportunity, and I'm going to go on out here and say, if you go back just a little bit and you show the screenshot of this council meeting with the audience there, I mean, there's freaking nobody there.
Yeah.
Now,
You're right.
the question would become, if this was publicized, would it be any different? Now, I would not be being honest if I said, you know what, the truth of the matter is, if it was publicized that they were going to talk about this, that the audience quantity, it wouldn't be any different. It'd be the same amount of people.
I agree with you 100%.
It would be the same amount of people. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the God's honest truth.
Look.
That's the only shot I would take at what Settle is saying. I mean, it's a feel-good argument, but it's not reality.
Everybody was all ginned up to recall Bubba Dawn, and we predicted that if they didn't stay on top of it down there in South Bossier, that it was going to fizzle out. Guess what? This fizzled out.
It fizzled out.
As a matter of
Now-
fact, the guy that's listed as the chairman of it or whatever, he has yet to respond to my request for the records, and I just hadn't pressed it, but, that's pretty much fizzled out.
Well, and the thing is a lot of people that want to start following politics, want to start getting involved. This isn't any short game. This isn't any 24-hour, 1 week, 1 month. I mean, this is a long game. Anybody that gets in politics and thinks that you're going to do something and affect change within a week, a day, or all of a sudden at the snap of a finger, you're sadly mistaken. If that's your
Right.
thought process, you need to freaking turn around and run for the hills, because that ain't how this works.
No,
It's a long game thing.
Yeah, it's taken decades to get to the point that it is and get all screwed up. You can't fix it, in a couple of months. You're right.
You
It
and
is a
I
long game.
You and I, to the point of having this show and talking about this, there has been countless trials and tribulations to get to where we can even have this show to talk about the subject matter that we talk about and put it out there the way that we do.
Right. And David Jones brings up a good point. If it were at 5 or 6 or in somebody's garage, you would have the same amount of people. You're right, David. A lot of people complain about it being in the middle of the afternoon if it was later when they got home, but you're absolutely right. Even when times are adjusted, you can look at the school board meetings. The school board meetings are at 6:30, whatever time. The only time there's a lot of people at the school board meeting is if they're all ginned up over a mask mandate or, an insurance deal or something like that. So you're right, David. Unfortunately, people are not staying engaged. We appreciate everybody watching the show. and listening to our commentary after the fact, but we've even said you got to have butts and seats.
Yeah, and to everybody watching, if you're truly about wanting to affect change and for us to get, as John Settle articulates here, good government. Look, nobody's innocent. I mean, everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody has baggage. Nobody does not. Nobody's perfect. But what we all want at the end of the day, we want good government. We want good representation. And we want people to shoot us straight and tell us the truth. And that's what we're articulating.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
collective,
Well,
collectively, if everybody does a little bit as they can as a group, and you don't let up, it's the long game that matters. It's not the short game. It's the long game.
correct. And look, neither one of us are sitting here doing this and calling out, what we see as the mistakes here and all that because we perceive ourselves as perfect. You're absolutely, we're far from it. But we're also not the elected officials. We're the constituents, the voters, the taxpayers sitting here, and they're the public officials that we have elected or entrusted to try to do the right things. And so we do get to sit here and critique them all we want, whether they like it or not. And
we are only seeking to educate you or to help you and to spend. We commit a little bit of our time to sort through this material, to condense it, to get to the high points for you so that you're more educated, so that when you do have time, you can be up to speed and you can help to contribute to affect change. Right?
Correct. I agree 100%. That's the main reason we're doing this.
So, rolling on.
Okay, here we go.
Open and free with decisions. Not releasing this resolution and the letter today before you vote on it is a disgrace to each of you as elected officials, and it is a disgrace to the people who've elected you.
Mr. Settle, I don't want to argue with you. I agree with our attorney. It does say if we want to add something to the agenda, if one person votes against it, we don't add it. And this, we just got, I don't know.
Here we
That's
go.
more the reason,
But
that's
you
more
don't-
the
you don't-
reason
you
to
don't have-
release
you
it to
don't
the
have-
public, Mr. Williams.
You're going to have a copy of this before you leave?
Oh, after you voted on it, great.
Bam.
Good government would have it out there with the agenda so that people could see it ahead of time, look at it, and comment on it knowingly.
Thank you.
So here we are. You've had these meetings with Union Pacific.
Mr. President,
You all
I
of a
will.
sudden have this letter, and all of a sudden you amend the agenda and you put on a significant decision to be made on behalf of the citizens of Bossier to close a road that was here before the railroads were here, and you're doing it not transparently. You're not being transparent about it at all.
Yeah, I mean they blamed it. They
Settle
blamed it
was right.
on everything. Now they're running out of stuff to blame this closure on. They blamed it on safety concerns. That was proven to be a flat out lie.
They blamed
All right.
it on NTB, or tried to.
They tried to do that. Of course, they got their hat handed to them with that, basically, and got their traps shut about that. Now they're trying to go back to the railroads and the roundabouts and blah, blah, blah. It's just going on and on and on.
Now we beat up on the citizens and lack of people being there.
Right.
But actually, there was a citizen from Bossier that was there, and he
Yes.
actually spoke. And I thought that he made an exceptional point about, the subject at hand. And it was simple, it was to the point, and yeah, you got to play it.
Yep, here we go. Let me get to the right spot. I think this will do us right here.
Kerry Chandler, 2924 Heather Lane in Bossier. Concerning this whole issue, would it not be better to table this until everybody can figure out who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth? Because this gentleman that spoke recently, he has emails back from 2018 showing that the railroad really did know what was going on. And before we make an ordinance and we have to live by it, should get everybody involved and get the information correctly before we move forward to do anything.
Is that too much to ask?
I know that there's a lot of change over at UP in this last few years. I got a good friend
What?
of mine retired from UP just a couple years ago, and there's a lot of changeover going on, management
What?
up and down the line. I'm not saying that, believe me, I'm not saying that you're telling something not true. That's not the thing, but I'll do whatever
Wasn't
council.
it that the same person that sent the letter was the same person that the NTB guy cited in the email that they met on the tracks at Shed Road?
I can't for the life of me figure out why they're defending the damn railroad.
What are we missing here? Why are they carrying the water for it's almost like they're paid on behalf of the railroad to act on behalf of the railroad.
I know.
Or Manchac, what is the deal here?
We usually have the answers or pretty much know it behind the scenes, but we've said why about this more times than I care to count.
Tommy Chandler, the city attorney, Charles Jacobs, Bubba Williams, and the majority of the council, why are they carrying the water for the railroad? What are we missing here? There is some other piece here that we don't get.
David, you're usually right on following the money, and 99.9% of the time I would agree with you, but where is the money for this? I mean, who's going to benefit off of closing Shed Road? What is the benefit?
So close this thing out.
Yeah.
We got to circle back. So we talked about the Rotary Club meeting and the tough question about, are we finding a city engineer? And I think we might have skipped something that was of significance, and we may need to jump back. And it goes back to the 3240 minus 5 mark. So that would be what, the
27 something.
Yeah.
All right. What am I looking for back there?
Actually, the 2804 mark. 2804.
All right. Back we go.
We're going to go back, and then we're going to go back forward, and we're going to close this thing out.
All right. So we're listening to Ben, right?
Well, it should be Chris Smith.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right. Here we go.
Here to litigate and debate who made that mistake and who didn't. I have a pretty clear understanding of who I think it is, but a mistake was made somewhere, and I think that as a city, as a council and administration, we need to work to make sure that future projects, we don't find ourselves where we're at today, because I don't want to get in the habit of having to close a railroad crossing just to get a project complete, because our city's built around the railroad. So,
okay. Circle back to the 5243 minus 5.
5243 minus 5. You're
57,
making me do math. 48.
57, 40. Yeah, 48. 47, 43.
All right. We're doing math into a long 3-hour show, and it's been a long day. And I'm usually pretty good at math. All right. There's 4723. What did you say? 4743.
4743.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in about 20 seconds. Here we go.
Chris, you second?
second.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience like to comment on that?
Now,
Continuation.
Jen Psaki's
Uh-oh.
got to circle back here.
We're coming around full circle now.
Continuation. That's what the vote is.
Rotary Club, here we
I just
come.
wanted to see, I don't know if I can call someone else up, but Mr. Easterly talking about the work that is going on and where they are related to the at-grade crossing.
What is this,
and what
tag
they
team
need in order to
WWE?
proceed
Well, David
with,
Montgomery's there. Somebody's got to take
with
up
what
the
they've got
slack.
going in
What
just
the
next
hell?
few days.
I'm sorry, I didn't see Bruce out there. Bruce?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm telling
I mean,
you.
if it's gonna cause some delays.
We got to
might
circle
move it-
back.
move it up
Jen
next
Psaki
meeting,
just
but Bruce
circled
will.
back.
My name is Bruce Easterly. I'm the construction manager on the project.
Aha.
What was your
The
question?
construction manager. Wait a minute. Isn't he supposed to address the council? Haven't they made that abundantly clear before?
Oh,
Within 2
he's
weeks.
looking out in the audience saying, "What's the question?"
I'm being told that the
Wow.
contractor has enough room and area and guidance enough where to continue laying his culverts and his drainage facilities for 2 weeks. After that, they're gonna move off the project.
Oh, that's interesting.
Any questions for
2 weeks and they're done. Wait a minute,
Seriously.
hold up.
On that
Wait
project,
up.
if we delay it longer, will it cost the city money?
You delay it one day, it can cost the city
Yeah,
money.
like-
I'm not saying it will, I'm just saying it can.
Oh,
Like the contract we have signed now, like $1 million, $2 million?
Sir,
They're coming up Shed Road with the drainage,
well, we don't know what's gonna happen to Shed Road, guys.
because
I mean, if they-
you clowns won't
if we
make
say
up
we're
your
gonna
mind.
If we're gonna close the crossing and get rid of the roundabout, then that changes the whole drainage pattern of the drainage
wait a minute.
facilities
Wait a
going.
minute.
Put on
Hold
the
up.
brakes.
Now, what he's talking about, he just said, if you're gonna shut down Shed Road and change the roundabout, that's gonna change the plans and that's gonna delay things and it's gonna cost you money.
That's why they had to add that extra fee in for the credit card stuff. They got to recoup that money so they can use it to offset what it's about to cost them to take away the roundabout and close down Shed Road.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Maggio was asking him if they delay in not shutting Shed Road down, will it cost them money? He just said that if they shut Shed Road down and close the roundabout,
It's going to cost them money.
delay and cost them money.
Yeah.
That's what he just said.
So either way, you're paying to ride this circus train.
Either way, it's costing you money. That's what he just said.
Well, hey, when it's OPM, it's easy to do. It's other people's money. It's all our money.
Who cares? But yeah, no, we can't stop to take time to decide whether or not Union Pacific lied to us or not. Even though we got emails that says, I mean, we've got to just say, they seem genuine. We just got to take that they seem genuine.
Well,
Bullshit.
I blame it all on King David. This is his rodeo.
He ain't even there. How can you blame him? He's not there. Isn't that interesting?
Because he
there.
started it, and it's easy to blame him when he's not there.
And I haven't seen any lawyer chime in to say whether or not they thought that because Union Pacific did know, but now they're saying in a letter they didn't know, that there may be a grounds for some legal action on behalf of the city of Bossier. I mean, we would like to think that we could count on the city attorney to be able to chime in on that subject.
Please don't invoke Jacob's name again. This is the Beetlejuice thing. I don't want to have to listen to his wah, 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 wah.
I'm not going to say his name. Zamboni Driver 1, I mean, I would like to think that he would chime in and say, look, this Zamboni can run that thing down. We can do it. We can ice it over. But I don't think we're going to get that. So we're going to have an attorney from outside of Bossier say, does that give the city of Bossier any leg? NTB is articulating that they think it does. But obviously, nobody in city government other than Darby and Chris Smith want to take the position or acknowledge the fact that there may be some ground here to fight for the citizens of Bossier. Why is that? What are we missing?
That's a good question, and we may have just got cut off. Why is mine showing? Oh, man. Hold on just a second, Duke. Let me pause and see if we just got cut off from our live stream.
If anybody's watching, check us and message us and say whether or not you still got us live or not. But
okay, no, I can still hear us, so I'm guessing we're still live.
All right. So with that said, let's roll.
That's crazy.
Let's roll to the 55-36 or 50-36 mark. And Councilman Williams says the smartest thing said today. He said that right here was the words 50-36.
50-36. All right, let me move. I'm just trying to monitor us because this thing shows that we got kicked out. So, folks, if we get kicked off, well, we'll see you next time. But here we go.
Well, still showing 70 something.
That's what you said though, so right? Since we gotta take the roundabout and redesign right there.
When you take the roundabout out, there's going to be some redesign on the whole roadway through that area. The drainage will have to be configured to take care of that new pathway that the roadway takes.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Bruce.
Did I make myself clear?
Did I make
Thank
myself
you.
clear that time?
So
All right.
So this is,
they have the vote,
Yep.
and ultimately only Scott Irwin and Vince Maggio voted against continuing this for 2 weeks, and that was the final solution there. So it's continued for 2 weeks, and I would point out that Chris Smith made the point that he didn't want to continue it unless NTB was allowed to participate and could contribute.
Right. Yeah. Good for him. He's, again, trying to do the right thing as best he can. So, yeah, and thanks, Christopher Thomas Baker. He says it sometimes cuts off at 4 hours, so we should be good for a little bit. Yeah, we're at 3 hours. I use a service called Restream, and it pushes to Restream and then over to Facebook, and it shows that I'm cut off, but we're obviously still live. So, anyway, let's start wrapping this up because we're liable to get cut off any minute now.
Yeah. So what I would say is to everyone that is hanging in there, I mean, guys, this has been a long show again. I mean, this is in-depth stuff. The people that are watching, I know y'all are diehard Bossier City folks. I mean, look, I was born at Bossier Medical Center. I've lived here my whole life. I mean, Bossier City is my life. I mean, I'm sorry, it is what it is. I mean, maybe I shouldn't apologize, but obviously you wouldn't be watching if it wasn't a part of your life and you didn't care as well. You wouldn't still be sitting here 3 hours into this show in this detail. But the thing is, there's not enough of us to have an impact on our own. I mean, we can have an impact, but we've got to get more people involved. I would encourage you to encourage people to take the time, educate themselves. Hopefully, our shows condense and explain the material at a palatable level to where folks can understand it in maybe say layman's terms what is going on with a little bit of the backstory that Rex and I share, and encourage them to get involved. We need more interaction. We need more people to get involved. That's the only way we're going to affect change. Look, we know that there are councilmen and city government leaders that have watched this show tonight. Right now, they watch what we've said and what we've been saying about what took place in Bossier City tonight. Your comments, your interaction, that all has bearing. They're listening to what you're saying, what you're commenting, what you think. So let's encourage more people to get involved. I mean, Rex and I aren't, I mean, we love the debate. I mean, we do, but we want to see our community prosper. We want to see our community grow. And we believe we're at a point to where more folks being involved will have a greater effect than anything else.
I agree 100% and couldn't have said it better. Just to do a quick wrap up, the whole Green Acres thing, let me just run down these topics real quick. The whole Green Acres thing was an anonymous deal posted to the Reporter News. The deal started by Timmy Lane. And the rumor is it was a bullying incident. And the rumor is one of the kids took a gun to Green Acres. Again, it's a rumor. We hadn't verified it. But there was some commentary that made us think it might actually be factual. If anybody knows about that, let us know. And the Bossier City Council, the Bossier Parish Police Jury did rehire Ginger Adam Corley, their lobbyist, and so they added that to the agenda, or I guess they're going to rehire. So they added that to their agenda, so you want to be aware of that at the Bossier Parish Police Jury meeting tomorrow. The same lobbyist that was opposed to some legislation for the Cypress District, by the way. Okay. With all that said, we're at the 3 hour and 7-minute mark. We kind of sort of got kicked off of our streaming deal, but it kept on streaming, and we're still live. I can still see us on the phone. That's always a good thing. We appreciate everybody watching, and we're going to keep doing it.
David Johnson, we appreciate you watching. Charlie and Judy East, appreciate you watching. Ronald J. Cheatham, appreciate you watching. Jimmy Richardson, Kristen, that says Christopher Baker, not Kristen.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind here. All
It's
of
getting
y'all,
late.
Katie
Yeah.
Larkin, David Crockett, David Johnson,
I
all
think,
of y'all guys.
I
all
think
of
my
y'all
mother
guys.
is still watching.
Yes.
So, anyway.
David Jones, everybody. We appreciate y'all watching. I mean, look, technology is allowing us to be better informed, better connected. I mean, thank you for participating. I mean,
Yeah.
look, if I die tomorrow, I'm happy that I was able to affect change with all of you guys, and that we've been able to, become more enlightened about what's going on. Let's keep it up. Let's grow it. Let's keep this thing going, because I think we can truly make a difference in Bossier and make this one of the best cities in the nation.
I agree. All right, folks, we'll either see y'all Thursday night or next Tuesday. Unless something else happens, we'll do a special episode. You'll get a notification. Make sure to like, share, follow, sign up for notifications, do all that kind of good stuff. We will see y'all later.
Adios, amigo.
Adios.